Chapter 2336. Ling Xiao, if you dare to kill me, you will die without a doubt. At that time, your family and friends will all die a horrible death because of you. The Eastern Heaven Great Sage said fiercely. Although he looked very tough on the surface, there was a trace of unconcealable fear in his eyes. Ling Xiao's combat strength was too terrifying. The black water mystical snake, who was connected to him by life, was now dying. Now that he was choked by Ling Xiao, he felt that it was difficult to breathe. There was a great terror between life and death. Ling Xiao let go of the Eastern Heaven Great Sage. Otherwise, this seat will make you wish you were dead, unable to die. I will crush your bones and scatter your ashes, and roast your soul in the 9 underworlds fire for billions of years. The culmination Great Sage also shouted angrily at Ling Xiao. He wanted to break through Lu Bai's interception and come to the Eastern Heaven Great Sage's rescue. Ling Xiao, you are simply courting death. If you dare to kill the Eastern Heaven Great Sage, no one in this world can save you. The 7 heavenly kings also sneered and scolded. However, their besieging of Ling Xiao had obviously slowed down a bit. Their eyes flickered, and it was obvious that they each had their own ulterior motives. They were also happy to see Ling Xiao kill the Eastern Heaven Great Sage. Only when Ling Xiao killed the Eastern Heaven Great Sage would he be completely irreconcilable with the 9 imperial gates. At that time, they might be able to find a better opportunity in the chaotic battle. You are about to die, and you still dare to threaten me? We are already irreconcilable. I will remember all the people who attacked me today, and I will definitely pay you a visit in the future. Today, I will collect some interest first. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed an incomparably cold killing intent. His temperament was incomparably tough, so how could he care about these threats? Boom. A terrifying power erupted from his hand, and he directly broke the Eastern Heaven Great Sage's neck. At the same time, he punched out, and the fist print was unparalleled. It directly hit the Eastern Heaven Great Sage's chest, and the Eastern Heaven Great Sage was blasted into a mist of blood. Roar! The dying Blackwater mystical snake let out a wretched roar and exploded in the air, completely killed by Ling Xiao. Both the Blackwater mystical snake and the East Heaven Sage were supreme experts in the Great Saint realm. Their bodies contained vast and mighty energy. Every piece of their flesh was comparable to a supreme divine elixir, which was enough for the experts in the God realm to advance further after refining. Even for Ling Xiao, it was a great tonic. Ling Xiao had no intention of letting the Blackwater mystical snake and the Eastern Sky Sage go. A terrifying devouring power burst out from his body, and instantly swallowed up all the flesh and blood in the sky. Rumble! Ling Xiao's body trembled like a thunderstorm. His blood qi filled the sky, and his bones crackled. Mysterious runes rose up one after another, and a vast amount of energy surged, making his aura even more terrifying. After swallowing the flesh and primordial spirit of the Blackwater mystical snake and the East Heaven Sage, Ling Xiao immediately saved 1,000 years of hard cultivation. His body, which was as solid as a rock, began to gradually strengthen. His cultivation showed signs of breaking through to the middle stage of the Saint realm. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, Dharma, and heart force had all reached the perfect realm. He only needed an opportunity to completely break through and become a saint. Ling Xiao chose the most difficult path of becoming a saint with his body. It also indicated that it would be even more difficult for him to prove his primordial spirit, Dharma, and heart force. However, as he glanced at the 7 heavenly kings and the 4 heavenly sages in front of him, Ling Xiao's eyes became sharper. He broke out in extraordinary combat strength. The aura around him was vast and unfathomable. There was a kind of invincible qi power that could swallow the heavens and devour the earth. All of these were the best food for blood. Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret skill had been cultivated to the perfect realm. He condensed the heaven-devouring holy domain, and there was nothing he couldn't swallow. These saints and great sages were more useful to Ling Xiao than a supreme saint pill. As long as he swallowed their flesh and primordial spirits, Ling Xiao's cultivation could continue to break through. At this time, Ling Xiao didn't care about the side effects of such a rapid breakthrough and swallowing. He didn't care if it would cause the foundation of his cultivation to be unstable. He needed power. He needed powerful power. He needed invincible power. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. The eyes of the culmination sage and the other great sages instantly turned blood red. They all looked at Ling Xiao with eyes that contained deep-rooted hatred. The 5 heavenly sages of the 9 imperial gates, although they weren't blood brothers, were closer than blood brothers. They had feelings for each other for hundreds of thousands of years. Their parents and relatives might have disappeared. Only the 5 of them supported each other all the way until today. Now they watched the East Heaven sage die in the hands of Ling Xiao, but they couldn't do anything. In an instant, the hatred and killing intent in their hearts were aroused. And this hatred and killing intent poured down on Lu Bai in front of them. Lu Bai, since you dare to get involved in this mess, then the War God Temple will be destroyed. Die. The terrifying aura around the culmination sage rose. Dazzling lightning flashed. He rushed towards Lu Bai. The real body of the Thunder Emperor appeared behind him. It was vast and mighty, exuding an ancient aura that could swallow the world and suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It turned into hundreds of millions of lightning chains and wrapped around Lu Bai's body. Kill! The other 3 great sages also showed hatred in their eyes. They displayed their most powerful killing moves. Beams of divine light flashed. Divine swords pierced the sky. Sabers shattered the stars. Shadows of staffs overturned rivers and seas. At the same time, they attacked Lu Bai. You want to destroy my War God Temple? You're not even qualified to be cannon fodder. Let Di Ling come out and talk to me. Lu Bai said indifferently. The bright light around him was vast and mighty. It was as dazzling as the sun. It made his whole body exude an immortal and eternal aura. He waved his sleeves. Suddenly, the lightning chains shattered inch by inch. With a light slap, the chaotic great Tao principles in the sky calmed down again. His palm was as clear as jade. The palm print and the fist shadows intertwined, making it impossible to distinguish what was real and what was fake. However, every time they collided, there would be the sound of metal clashing. The sword light was shattered, the saber aura fell, and the staff shadows were all destroyed. Lu Bai's attack seemed to be without the slightest bit of smoke and fire. Even though the 4 heavens' great sage's battle strength was incomparably terrifying, he was still easily blocked by him. On the other side, after the 7 heavenly kings saw that the East Heaven sage was killed by Ling Xiao, they looked at each other, and then charged towards Ling Xiao at the same time. The golden spears in their hands shone brightly. The spears contained a power fluctuation that could penetrate everything. It was as if they had merged into one in the void, making their battle strength incomparably terrifying. The power of the 7 heavenly kings, along with the fusion of the golden spears, seemed to form some kind of powerful battle formation. Everyone's power began to skyrocket. They surrounded Ling Xiao in the center and launched a fatal attack. Chapter 2337. Boom. 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 Lu Bai fought the 4 heavens' great sage alone, while Ling Xiao fought the 7 heavenly kings alone. The 2 fierce battlefields in the void were clearly separated, like a terrifying storm sweeping in all directions. The void was shattered because of this fierce battle. Dense cracks appeared in the sky, like a spider web that was about to break at any time. Although they were far away, the terrifying aura made everyone's heart palpitate. Their faces were incomparably pale, and they were full of shock and emotion. The people of the War God Temple are really strong. Ling Xiao has become the chosen one, and his physical body has reached the saint realm. Yet he is able to go against the rules and kill great saints. This god of war, Lu Bai, is also so terrifying that he can fight 4 heavens' great saints alone. Could it be that this god of war, Lu Bai, is already a saint king? Someone said with emotion. It should be impossible. Lu Bai's cultivation is only at the peak of the great sage realm, but the War God Temple has many geniuses. Although it is ranked last among the 12 immortal holy lands, there are amazing experts in every generation. The Scarlet Dragon War God was like that 1,000,000 years ago. Lu Bai was like that, and Ling Xiao was like that too. How good is the War God Temple? A white-haired old man sighed softly. He had lived for a long time, and had even seen the peerless power of the Scarlet Dragon War God, so he had a deep impression of the War God Temple. What a pity! I heard that the War God Temple came from the bloodline of the ancient War Emperor, but it also has some relationship with the Heavenly Emperor. In the past, the war god temple was always the most courageous when fighting the devil race, which also led to the death of countless experts. Their strength was weakened, and they were not as strong as the other immortal holy lands. 1,000,000 years ago, the Scarlet Dragon war god was amazing. It was said that he could go against the flow and kill great sages when he was in the half-saint realm. However, because he obtained the wordless heavenly book, he was hunted down by countless people as soon as he ascended to the position of war god. Although it was said that he was assassinated by the devil race, did the people of the divine world participate? They are very clear. I've also heard of the war god Hall's war 1,000,000 years ago. It's said that the war god Hall was incomparably tragic. Dozens of supreme elders died in battle, and even the war god Hall's patriarch died in battle. That's why the war god temple hasn't been able to recover even after 1,000,000 years. Lu Bai and Ling Xiao are both extremely talented people. If they are given enough time to grow, they might really be able to lead the war god temple back to glory and prosperity. What a pity. Speaking of which, this Ling Xiao is too heaven-defying. Heaven's Chosen One, Physical Sanctification, and the Wordless Heavenly Book. All of these heaven-defying destinies were given to one person at the same time. How can others not be jealous? This Ling Xiao is also a troublemaker. He had offended more than half of the 12 immortal holy lands. Many holy sons and geniuses of the holy lands had been slaughtered by him. These immortal sacred grounds were just fretting over not being able to find an excuse to deal with him. And now he's delivering himself to our doorstep. What a pity. No matter how amazing they are in this battle, I'm afraid that after today, they will all become history. Since ancient times, too many geniuses have fallen. Geniuses who have not grown up are nothing. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai's powerful battle prowess amazed everyone. However, they also understood that no matter how strong they were, they would not be able to change today's outcome. The foundation of the 12 immortal holy lands was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Not to mention that Ling Xiao's physical sanctification. Even if he had become a great sage or even a sage ruler, he would not be able to change today's outcome. The inescapable net had been laid. And now it was time to reel in the net. The 4 great sages were all great sages who had mastered the great Tao laws. Their words were law, and their attacks contained unparalleled heavenly might that could wipe out everything. However, at this moment, they seemed to be helpless against Lu Bai. Lu Bai looked calm, and his body was shrouded in a faint light. His expression was incomparably calm, and his attacks did not have the slightest trace of smoke or fire. However, a casual strike could destroy the attacks of the 4 great sages. The 4 great sages were unable to find any flaws in Lu Bai's defense. Moreover, as time passed, they felt like they were being suppressed by Lu Bai. The powerful holy treasures they had summoned should have had the power to destroy everything under the activation of their great sage cultivation. However, they could not even break through Lu Bai's physical body. Kacha. The ancient sword in the hand of the Western Heaven Great Sage was incomparably sharp and extraordinary, as if it could destroy everything. However, under the repeated collisions with Lu Bai, the blazing runes exploded, and a small crack appeared on the sword. The ancient sword's light dimmed. The Western Heaven Great Sage's eyes were filled with incomparable pain, shock, and anger. He did not expect Lu Bai's attack to be so terrifying. Physical sanctification. Lu Bai, you're also a physical sanctification saint? It seems that we have underestimated you. A sharp light flashed in the eyes of the culmination Great Sage as he stared at Lu Bai. After such a long fight and confirmation, he finally discovered that the reason why Lu Bai's physical body was so terrifying and overbearing was because Lu Bai was also a physical sanctification saint. Only this could explain why Lu Bai's physical body was so terrifying that it could withstand a best-grade holy treasure. Moreover, his attacks were so fierce that even the ancient sword in the hand of the Western Heaven Great Sage was damaged by Lu Bai. What? The Western Heaven Great Sage, the Southern Heaven Great Sage, and the Northern Heaven Great Sage were also shocked. Ling Xiao's physical sanctification saint was already shocking enough. Lu Bai was also a physical sanctification saint? It should be known that Ling Xiao had just entered the saint realm, while Lu Bai had already become a saint countless years ago. They knew better than anyone else what kind of combat strength a great sage expert with physical sanctification saint had. It seems that you are not blind. Don't you want to avenge Huang Tai Eastern Heaven Great Sage? I don't think it's necessary. I'll send you directly to see them. Lu Bai smiled indifferently. Taking advantage of the Western Heaven Great Sage's stupefied state, he punched towards the Western Heaven Great Sage. Rumble. When Lu Bai punched out, his aura suddenly underwent some changes. The original indifferent and ethereal aura disappeared in an instant. A tyrannical and overbearing fighting intent broke out majestically. When he punched out, there was a terrible scene of the sky shattering, the blood of gods and demons, and hundreds of millions of stars falling, directly enveloping the Western Heaven Great Sage. Not good. Third brother dodge. Chapter 23:38. The culmination Great Sage knew that he had made a big mistake. Under the siege of the four of them, he originally thought that he had forced out all of Lu Bai's strength, but he did not expect that Lu Bai had not used his full strength at all. This punch was incomparably overbearing, as if it could pierce through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It contained a vast and unparalleled fighting spirit, which made the culmination Great Sage's scalp tingle. He was afraid that the culmination Great Sage would not be able to block this punch. Get lost. The Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage also felt the terrifying fluctuations emitted from Lu Bai's body. They both roared and rushed toward Lu Bai without any regard for their own safety. Huge saber astral force spread over tens of thousands of miles, and the shadow of the staff seemed to be able to smash everything into powder. The vault of heaven shook, and the stars trembled. They attacked Lu Bai from the left and right, displaying their most powerful fighting strength. Seeing Lu Bai's punch coming, the Western Heaven Great Sage wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. He gritted his teeth, and the somewhat damaged ancient sword in his hand pierced through the air. At the same time, he pushed out his other hand, which turned into an ancient mountain, blocking in front of him and Lu Bai. Lu Bai's expression was incomparably calm, but his eyes were fiercer than ever. He did not dodge, and with a wave of his other hand, the vast power of the world gushed out. The void shook violently, as if separating the Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage on 2 ends. His punch pressed forward, and suddenly collided with the ancient sword in Lu Bai's hand. Boom! The void shook violently. The Western Heaven Great Sage felt an unparalleled force coming from the ancient sword in his hand, and it suddenly shattered into powder. The mountain was also directly smashed by Lu Bai's punch, and the Western Heaven Great Sage was directly sent flying. Puff! The Western Heaven Great Sage suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He only felt that the power from Lu Bai's punch poured into his body, shattering all the meridians in his body. Even his incomparably solid bones showed traces of cracks. Lu Bai, how dare you! The Western Heaven Great Sage roared fiercely. After seeing Lu Bai's punch, he did not stop at all. He went straight up, and pointed a finger at the Western Heaven Great Sage's forehead. Why wouldn't I dare? If you want Ling Zhao's life, then exchange it with yours. Lu Bai's eyes were extremely sharp, and his whole body was exuding a monstrous fighting spirit. His finger light contained a fluctuation that could penetrate everything, like a bright light beam. Lu Bai, go to hell. At this moment, the culmination Grand Sage also charged forward. Lightning blazed around him, and at the same time, a mysterious yellow light shone around him, making him look heavy and ancient. A huge mysterious yellow hammer appeared in his palm, and he smashed it down towards Lu Bai's head. Scram! Lu Bai shouted coldly. He didn't even look at the Heaven Grand Sage. He took a step forward and the heaven and earth resonated. He punched out and collided with the hammer of Xianhuang. In an instant, an unparalleled fist will exploded and sent the hammer of Xianhuang and the Heaven Grand Sage flying. His finger was pointing towards the Western Heaven Great Sage's forehead. Puff! Blood flashed. The Western Heaven Great Sage forcibly moved his head a few inches away at the critical moment of life and death. The finger fell along his cheek, and like a blade, half of his face was cut off. Lu Bai kicked out in the air. His foot contained an unparalleled divine power, and it directly kicked the Western Heaven Great Sage's stomach, sending him flying. Cough, cough. The Western Heaven Great Sage coughed up blood, and the purple robe on his body suddenly exploded into powder. This was a powerful defensive holy treasure, but it was completely destroyed by Lu Bai's kick. His whole body was badly mutilated, and he suffered a fatal blow. He was almost completely shattered. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. He frantically urged the majestic life source in his body, and a vast holy aura spread out, constantly repairing his damaged body. When Lu Bai was about to kill the Western Heaven Great Sage in one go, the Culmination Grand Sage, the Southern Heaven Great Sage, and the Northern Heaven Great Sage rushed over and rescued the Western Heaven Great Sage from Lu Bai's hands. Boom, boom, boom. Blazing blood light gushed out from the Culmination Grand Sage, the Southern Heaven Great Sage, and the Northern Heaven Great Sage. In an instant, it was like a raging flame. Their aura began to soar violently, and their eyes were filled with incomparable madness. They burned their life source one after another, used their most powerful forbidden technique, and began to fight with all their might. Under the desperate attacks of the three great sages, the surrounding sky was violently shaking. Three bright lights, like pillars of heaven, crossed the sky and shot toward Lu Bai majestically, containing a power fluctuation that could destroy heaven and earth. Are you going to fight with all your might? It's a pity that your 5 directions Xianhuang formation is missing one person. Otherwise, it might really cause me some trouble. Lu Bai said indifferently. Blazing divine light rose from his body, and with a punch, it was as if an ancient world emerged. Chaos rose, the sun and the moon shook, and unparalleled power collided, suppressing the 3 terrifying lights in the ancient world. He soared into the sky like a newly born sun, exuding a vast power, and rushed toward the Culmination Grand Sage and the other 2. The Western Heaven Great Sage had been crippled, and had lost his combat ability. Although the Culmination Grand Sage and the other 2 had begun to fight with all their might, and did not hesitate to burn their life source, essence blood, and primordial spirit, they were still suppressed by Lu Bai, and fell into a disadvantageous position. Defeat seemed to be only a matter of time. On the other side, the battle between Ling Xiao and the 7 Heavenly Kings was also extremely fierce, and soon it became the 8 Heavenly Kings. The 9th Heaven Wang Huaqia was originally severely injured by Ling Xiao, but after swallowing a powerful healing divine pill, in addition to the vast life source in his body, he quickly recovered and also joined the battle. The 9 Heavenly Kings of the Hua clan were also proficient in the art of battle formation. After Huaqia joined in, the 8 Heavenly Kings were like the 8 brightest stars, shining in the sky, forming a powerful bounded domain, enveloping Ling Xiao in the center. Rumble. A terrifying divine light storm swept over, and streaks of spear light appeared and disappeared mysteriously, as if they could appear behind Ling Xiao at any time. The surrounding thunder roared and the void shook. Spatial cracks could be seen everywhere, forming a deadly domain. In this bounded domain, Ling Xiao rushed left and right, but it seemed that there was no way to break this bounded domain. Ling Xiao, you should be proud that you can die in this celestial end domain. Huaqio sneered. The celestial end domain was a mysterious bounded domain built with the power of the 9 Heavenly Kings. There was no energy replenishment in it, and it could devour all energy. Even a great sage would be trapped to death if he was trapped in it. Chapter 2339. Crack. Bolts of lightning intertwined in the void, and the sky in all directions trembled violently. The absolute heaven boundary formed a terrifying absolute death domain, constantly attacking Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's vital energy and blood surged, and his body was extremely powerful, filled with an immortal luster, looking very mysterious. He kept attacking, dispelling the killing intent, and at the same time, looking for an opportunity to kill his way out of the absolute heaven boundary. Absolute heaven boundary? If it's an ordinary sage, or even a supreme sage, I'm afraid I'll really be trapped here to death. Ling Xiao thought to himself. The power of a sage came from heaven and earth, from the Great Path Law. However, after Ling Xiao's body became a sage, all his power came from himself, from his body's divine treasures. Although the absolute heaven boundary could isolate all Great Path Law and even devour energy, it had no effect on Ling Xiao. Roar. A dragon roar burst out of Ling Xiao's mouth, and he instantly soared into the sky. His body was surrounded by a vast dragon's might, and his eyes were full of bright divine light. He was like a giant golden dragon, rushing above the absolute heaven boundary. The lightning raged around him, but it didn't affect him at all. The giant golden dragon opened its huge dragon's mouth, as if swallowing heaven and earth, and devouring all the violent lightning and great path law around him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Golden spears suddenly fell from the sky, and turned into hundreds of millions of golden spear shadows in an instant, sealing Ling Xiao's entire body. The spear shadows were intertwined like divine chains of order. They were incomparably sturdy and filled with golden runes as if they could seal everything. Even though Ling Xiao's physical body was incomparably strong, he was actually unable to shatter them in a short period of time. Boom! Ling Xiao's eyes were like lightning, and his vital energy and blood surged, burning fiercely. His fists were like dragons, constantly bombarding the spear shadows around him, each strike containing the power to destroy heaven and earth. However, after the spear shadows were shattered by Ling Xiao, they condensed again, multiplying and multiplying endlessly, almost drowning Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was thinking of a way to break through the layers of spear shadows when his heart suddenly trembled, and he felt an incomparably obscure danger approaching, making his hair stand on end. Without thinking, Ling Xiao directly used a teleportation secret technique, turning into an afterimage and moving to the side. Rumble! A terrifying spear light exploded at Ling Xiao's original position. It was like a bolt of golden lightning, following closely behind Ling Xiao, piercing towards him. The power of this attack was terrifying, domineering, and powerful, making Ling Xiao feel an unprecedented threat. He punched out behind him, and the fist imprint was unparalleled, as if a mountain had appeared. Crack! The spear light pierced through everything and shattered Ling Xiao's fist. Then it pierced through the layers of afterimages and stabbed into Ling Xiao's back. Puff! Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. A bowl-sized hole appeared on his back. He activated the majestic life force in his body, and the injuries on his back began to heal at a visible rate. However, Ling Xiao's gaze became extremely cold. Great Heavenly King of the Hua clan? Ling Xiao stared at the figure that appeared behind him, and said coldly. It was a young man in purple armor who looked valiant. He held a golden war spear in his hand, and his body exuded an incomparably sharp aura. His eyes were incomparably cold, and there was a kind of arrogance and indifference that looked down on the world. When he appeared in the Heaven End domain, the entire Heaven End domain seemed to be boiling, as if all the endless power was added to his body, making him extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao felt the aura on his body was of the same origin as the 8 heavenly kings of the Hua clan. He instantly guessed the identity of this young man. The head of the 9 heavenly kings, the great heavenly king of the Hua clan. It seems that you are not stupid. Unfortunately, you have offended the Hua clan. No one can save you today. Go to hell obediently. The great heavenly king said coldly, and the aura around him became sharper as if he had already regarded Ling Xiao as a dead man. His cultivation was naturally the most powerful among the 9 heavenly kings. He was already at the peak of the great sage realm. At this moment, under the support of the Heaven End domain, there was a trend of transforming into the Saint King realm. His combat strength was extremely terrifying. Just now, he took advantage of Ling Xiao's battle in the Heaven End domain, and let his guard down for a moment. He suddenly launched a sneak attack on Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao's physical body was not strong enough, his body would have been completely torn apart by the spear. Whoosh! The great heavenly king held the golden spear, and charged towards Ling Xiao. The murderous aura around him became extremely terrifying in an instant. So what if you are the great heavenly king? If you want to take my life, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ling Xiao's eyes were covered with a layer of blood, revealing a trace of crazy killing intent. He soared into the sky and charged towards the great heavenly king. Rumble! The void shook violently, and the sky was rumbling. The Heaven End domain was shaking violently as if billions of stars had fallen at the same time. The divine light was boiling, setting off monstrous waves. Under the leadership of the great heavenly king, the 9 heavenly kings not only laid down the Heaven End domain, but also attacked Ling Xiao with all their strength. The 9 heavenly kings' strength was extremely terrifying, especially the great heavenly king, who posed a great threat to Ling Xiao. In the beginning, Ling Xiao was still able to contend with him, but soon he was completely at a disadvantage. Boom! Ling Xiao was swept away by the golden spear. His body shook violently, and several ribs on his chest were broken. He staggered back, coughing up blood, and his face became extremely pale. The great heavenly king's expression was extremely cold. He punched Ling Xiao's chest. The terrifying saint force surged, turning into a blazing blade and entered Ling Xiao's body, wanting to turn Ling Xiao's body into dust. Puff! Wuxia also took the opportunity to stab with his spear. The spear light was extremely sharp, leaving a bloody hole on Ling Xiao's thigh. Ling Xiao's face became even paler under the pain. Ling Xiao, weren't you arrogant? What bullshit, heaven's chosen son. Today let us 9 brothers send you on your way. Wuxia sneered. His eyes were full of satisfaction, as if the depression left after being severely injured by Ling Xiao had been alleviated. He felt an unprecedented pleasure. Under the attack of the 9 heavenly kings, Ling Xiao was completely at a disadvantage. He could only passively resist, and the frequency of his counterattacks was getting slower and slower. His entire body was badly mutilated, and his aura had also become extremely weak. Everyone who saw this couldn't bear to see him like this. It seems like Ling Xiao is really going to die this time. If the 9 heavenly kings join forces, they might even be able to fight a Saint King. Ling Xiao is still too young. Chapter 2340. Despicable. Granny, when will the sect master strike? Shui Wei was extremely anxious as she asked the old woman beside her. At this moment, she felt that she was so weak that she could not even intervene in the battle. She was afraid that the aftermath of the battle would be enough to kill her. She could only pin her hopes on the sect master. Saintess, don't worry. The sect master said that he will protect him and make sure that he doesn't die. He will naturally strike at the critical moment. I think this kid is very tough. He won't die so easily. The old woman comforted Shui Wei. On the other side, Feng Qingyang looked at Jin Sei curiously and said, Junior sister Jin Sei, why aren't you worried at all? Didn't you see that brother Ling Xiao is about to be killed by those 9 bastards? Those 9 ants won't be able to kill him. Jin Sei said calmly without the slightest trace of worry. How can you be so sure? Feng Qingyang asked. Ling Xiao's physical body is at the Sage Realm, and he is the chosen one. How can he be defeated so easily? Moreover, don't forget that Ling Xiao has the wordless heavenly book. He hasn't even used it yet. Jin Sei said slowly. Wordless heavenly book? I had forgotten about that. I know, brother Ling Xiao must be pretending to be weak. I don't know what evil tricks he has up his sleeves. Feng Qingyang suddenly realized. Boom. The great Sky King's golden spear swept across the sky like a bolt of golden lightning. Its speed was extremely fast. Ling Xiao was severely injured. It seemed that he had no way to resist. The golden spear pierced through his body in an instant. Blood filled the air as he coughed out blood. His expression seemed to have become a little sluggish. Go to hell. Wuxia and the others roared at the same time. 8 golden battle spears pierced through the air, and pierced through Ling Xiao's body. Even his glabella was pierced through by a golden battle spear. It was as though he was nailed to death in the void. Ling Xiao's life aura instantly became extremely weak. This guy should be dead, right? Strange, he has the wordless heavenly book. Why didn't he use it? Wuxia looked at Ling Xiao and asked curiously. Wordless heavenly book? Oh no. After hearing Huaqiu's words, the great Sky King couldn't help but tremble. His eyes revealed an incomparably dignified expression. Rumble. Almost as soon as Huaqiu and the great heavenly king finished speaking, Ling Xiao, whose life force was originally extremely weak, suddenly trembled all over. A terrifying wave of energy gushed out from his body. Dazzling and boundless 7-colored heavenly light spread out. At the same time, a wave of energy that could devour everything spread out from Ling Xiao's body. The space between his eyebrows glowed brilliantly. The wordless heavenly book soared into the sky, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura as it floated above Ling Xiao's head. Crack. The textless heavenly scripture seemed to contain layers upon layers of space. It was mysterious and powerful. After its appearance, the absolute heaven world was directly broken by the scripture. Soaring firmament also left the scripture. At this moment, the 9 golden spears in Ling Xiao's body exploded with a crisp sound, and were directly devoured by Ling Xiao's body. A sound like a tsunami came from Ling Xiao's body. It was like a surging wave. Boundless Tao will spread out, causing the great Tao precepts in the surroundings to tremble violently. Then they gushed towards him. Buzz. A wave of energy from a breakthrough came from Ling Xiao's body. Boundless great Tao precepts rose, and the great Tao divine sound intertwined. It was like the chanting of ancient ancestors, but also like the Tao sound of a celestial emperor imparting scriptures. It was incomparably vast. I still have to thank all of you. Without all of you, I wouldn't have broken through so quickly. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. His calm gaze fell on the 9 heavenly kings. There seemed to be a hint of mockery in his eyes. What? How could you have broken through? Weren't you about to die? Huaqiu's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. What a scheme! What a trick! Using the pressure of the 9 of us to break through. I have to say, Ling Xiao, you're really courageous. But so what if you've broken through? It's destined that you won't be able to change your fate. The great Sky King stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly. His eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. Rumble. However, just as he finished speaking, a bright beam of light shot out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. A mysterious primordial spirit floated out, surrounded by golden lotuses. It turned into a vast devouring vortex, and began to devour the surrounding chaotic energy. Another powerful wave of energy from a breakthrough exploded from Ling Xiao's body. Precepts becoming a saint. Primordial spirit becoming a saint. How is this possible? Everyone was instantly stunned. Previously, Ling Xiao's physical body becoming a saint had shocked everyone. They felt as if they had seen a legendary figure. However, they did not expect the great Tao precepts in Ling Xiao's body to be perfected in such a short time. He had broken through during the battle with the 9 heavenly kings. Precepts becoming a saint was the most common path of proving one's Tao. However, with Ling Xiao's physical body becoming a saint, it naturally became extraordinary. Not to mention that Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was now perfect and flawless. He had broken through at the same time, and his primordial spirit became a saint. Rumble. A vast saint's aura filled the air. Streaks of blazing lightning appeared in the sky, filled with vast flames. It was as if the heavens were punishing the heavens. This was a saint's tribulation, but it was not an ordinary one. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. If Ling Xiao managed to survive this tribulation, he would most likely become one of the 3 saints that had shocked the entire world. We have to stop him. The 9 heavenly kings looked at each other, and saw the fear in each other's eyes. At the same time, they unleashed their powerful cultivation base and attacked Ling Xiao like 9 dazzling suns. Physical body becoming a saint, precepts becoming a saint, and primordial spirit becoming a saint. This Ling Xiao is too heaven-defying. He's only missing the Tao of Heart from the legendary 4 great sacred Taos. Could it be that his Tao of Heart has reached perfection? Someone's heart skipped a beat as a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. It shouldn't be possible. I've never heard of Ling Xiao's attainments in the heart path. Being able to become a triple saint is already shocking enough. I'm afraid it's difficult to find such a genius in a great world. If his heart path becomes a saint, won't he be destined to reach the peak and prove his Tao and become an emperor? That's too difficult. Someone shook his head and said, Rumble. As if to prove their words, Ling Xiao's body spewed out vast great Tao precepts. The primordial spirit between his eyebrows sat cross-legged in the void and devoured the chaos. The vast saint's aura was about to descend from the sky. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's body emitted a vast and ethereal aura, slowly forming a mysterious world around him. In the beginning, that world was still somewhat illusory, but it soon became real. That's the heart realm. Heart path becoming a saint. Could it be that he's really going to prove his Tao and become a quadruple saint? Someone exclaimed, his voice trembling uncontrollably. Chapter 2341. Divine Laws, Primordial Spirit, Heart Force and Physical Body Sage were the four paths that led to the pinnacle of the Great Tao. Breaking through from the divine way to the divine way was a sublimation of the level of life. It was also a kind of evolution of living beings. One could explore more of the mysteries of heaven and earth. It was the path that countless experts pursued. Divine Laws was the most common path. Directly comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth, understanding the power of the great Tao, and using the great Tao to prove one's Tao and become a saint. This was the path that most experts in the divine world would take. On the other hand, primordial spirit and heart force were much more difficult. There were specific conditions. Some races with powerful primordial spirit or heart force could prove one's Tao with their primordial spirit or heart force. Just like those Buddhists in the divine world, most of them took the path of heart force. As for physical sanctification, it was the most difficult of the four paths. Even though the demon clan, the devil clan, and the sorcerer clan had always been known for their powerful physical bodies, there were very few who could achieve physical sanctification among the three clans. All of them were peerless geniuses who could lead the younger generation. The human race had always had weak physical bodies. Therefore, it was very difficult to achieve physical body sage. In the history of the human race, those who could achieve physical body sage were all the most dazzling figures. Ling Zhao's physical body sage had already shocked everyone. Now his divine laws, primordial spirit, and heart force had all reached perfection. He wanted to prove one's Tao and become a saint at the same time. There were many dazzling figures who could achieve physical body sage. However, the four saints of Tao might only exist in legends. They existed in ancient myths and legends. Only those powerful beings who were born naturally could achieve physical body sage. This was a legend. Everyone was witnessing the birth of a legend. Rumble. The sky trembled violently as if it was going to shatter completely. Bolts of lightning intertwined with each other, containing extremely terrifying energy fluctuations. Vast saint aura spread down as if it was going to destroy the world. It completely locked Ling Xiao down below. Ling Xiao felt his hair stand on end. This kind of aura seemed to be able to destroy everything. Even his divine tribulation of physical body sage wasn't as terrifying as this. Ling Xiao vaguely felt that maybe he was too arrogant. The Tao of the Four Saints was an act that defied the heavens. The great Tao of heaven and earth and the universe probably couldn't tolerate his existence. Although Ling Xiao had become the chosen one, and had received the blessing of the heavenly Tao and could withstand a portion of the heavenly might, there was still an extremely powerful heavenly tribulation descending. Crack! Bolts of lightning as thick as mountains intertwined with seven-colored divine light. They contain the vast power of the five elements and yin and yang. They seemed to be able to disintegrate everything as they descended upon him. Those thunderbolts were destructive, causing the entire Ling Xiao mountain range to tremble violently. In an instant, it completely enveloped Ling Xiao. Boom! The 9 heavenly kings, who were originally charging towards Ling Xiao, were now trembling violently. The golden battle spears in their hands were struck by streaks of lightning. Their bodies trembled violently as they were sent flying backwards. Damn it! How could there be such a terrifying divine tribulation in the Four Saints' realm? The great heavenly king's expression was extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with disbelief. It wasn't that they couldn't charge in and attack Ling Xiao, but the saint catastrophe in the sky was too terrifying. It made their scalps tingle, and they felt a great threat. If he were to rush in like this, he would be severely injured even if he didn't die. The Four Saints' realm. Could it be that we have helped him achieve his goal? Since ancient times, there has never been anyone who has reached the Four Saints' realm. Could it be that Ling Xiao is really blessed by the heavenly Tao? The 2 heavenly kings and the others looked a little uneasy. Ling Xiao was truly beyond their imagination. If they couldn't completely kill such a peerless figure, once he grew stronger, they would be the ones to die. Brothers, don't worry. Even we can't withstand such a terrifying divine tribulation. I'm afraid that even if Ling Xiao survives the divine tribulation, his vitality will be greatly damaged. We only need to wait for him to pass the divine tribulation. Once he survives, we will immediately surround and kill him, not giving him a chance to recover. 9th Heavenly King Wuxia sneered coldly. The more heaven-defying Ling Xiao's talent was, the more it aroused the killing intent in their hearts. Although they couldn't attack Ling Xiao now, they had all made up their minds. After Ling Xiao passed the divine tribulation, they would directly kill him. The Four Saints' realm. What level of combat strength will Ling Xiao reach? Everyone secretly thought in their hearts. Ling Xiao, whose physical body was sanctified, was already able to fight against a great saint. He even went against the flow and killed the Eastern Heaven Great Saint. Then, how terrifying would Ling Xiao be after reaching the Four Saints' realm? Not to mention, Ling Xiao had not even taken out the legendary Chaos Treasure, the wordless heavenly book. Could it be that today, Ling Xiao can really escape with his life? A thought suddenly emerged in someone's heart. Suddenly, a miserable scream came from afar. In the void, a rain of blood swirled in the air. Heaven and earth shook violently. The Western Heaven Great Saint's body was torn apart in the void. Even his primordial spirit was blown to smithereens. The scene was incomparably terrifying. Lu Bai's eyes were sharp. He slowly withdrew his fist. His unparalleled fist intent was vast and mighty in the void. It condensed and did not disperse, containing a kind of peerless battle intent and killing power. Just now, when Ling Xiao broke through to the Four Saints' realm, that kind of terrifying fluctuation was too shocking. Even the culmination Great Sage and the others were unavoidably alarmed. When they were slightly distracted, Lu Bai instantly found the opportunity and directly obliterated the Western Heaven Great Sage. Of the 5 heavens Great Saints of the 9 Imperial Gates, the Eastern Heaven Great Saint was killed by Ling Xiao. Now, the Western Heaven Great Saint was killed by Lu Bai. The culmination Great Saint and the others did not even have the chance to rescue them. Lu Bai, I will kill you. The culmination Great Saint was completely deranged. His eyes were filled with cold bloodlust and killing intent. The Southern Heaven Great Saint and Northern Heaven Great Saint showed bone-deep hatred. They began to go berserk. Their blood chi surged violently, and the vast saint power began to burn. The 5 of them were not blood brothers, but they were closer than blood brothers. Now that 2 of them had died in battle in a day, they instantly went crazy. Those who kill will be killed by others. Do you really think I don't know how much the 9 Imperial Gates have suppressed my War God Temple? From today onwards, I will make you pay back the debts you owe me. Lu Bai stared at the culmination Great Saint and the others and said indifferently. Although his voice was not loud, it was incomparably clear to everyone's ears. This Lu Bai is also a ruthless person. Everyone could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. They looked at Lu Bai with eyes full of reverence. Chapter 2342. Kill. Culmination Grand Sage roared. His cultivation base of Great Sage Peak was fully stimulated. At the same time, he burned his life source. In an instant, he burned 100,000 years of his life, turning it into an incomparably terrifying attack power, and rushed towards Lu Bai. The Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage also went crazy. At this moment, they didn't care about anything else. They even forgot that the purpose of this trip was to save Ling Xiao. At this moment, they only wanted to kill Lu Bai and tear him into pieces to pay tribute to the souls of the Eastern Heaven Great Sage and the Western Heaven Great Sage. Rumble. 3 terrifying saint lights vibrated in the void and collided with Lu Bai in an instant. Ling Xiao, who was in the endless sea of lightning, was also facing a terrifying crisis. The lightning that emitted 7-colored divine light seemed to be formless and formless. His powerful body couldn't withstand it at all. It directly passed through his body and struck his primordial spirit. It blasted into his mind realm and finally traveled through his entire body, as if it wanted to destroy all the great Tao precepts in his body. In the face of such a terrifying divine tribulation, Ling Xiao seemed to have no way to resist it. He couldn't rely on external forces. He could only stay true to his heart and withstand it with his body. In the vast sea of lightning, the divine aura filled the air. It was a power that wanted to destroy everything. It made all living things tremble and unable to withstand it. Ling Xiao could feel that if he didn't have the heavenly way luck, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such a terrifying divine tribulation. I was careless. No wonder Old Man Heavenly Way once said that the 4 saint realms were so difficult, and that I must be extremely careful. I must advance step by step and go through the divine tribulation separately. Ling Xiao thought to himself secretly. In the divine tribulation, Ling Xiao could clearly feel that his precepts, primordial spirit, and heart force were perfect. However, he could see that there were still many flaws. It was these flaws that caused him to suffer heavy injuries in the divine tribulation. Even though his life source was extremely strong and his body was immortal, and he could be reborn from a drop of blood, his injuries were getting worse. Rumble. The Saint Tribulation became more and more terrifying. The sea of lightning enveloped the sky, as if chaos was opening up the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao could vaguely see 9 incomparably powerful silhouettes appearing. Each silhouette became more and more corporeal, but it was as if they were hidden in an illusion. The 9 emperors of the human tribe had appeared again. This time around, the 9 emperors of the human race were even more horrifying. When they joined forces, it was as though they could wipe out all living beings. After the appearance of the 9 emperors of the human clan, the divine trial became even more chaotic and terrifying. Bolts of lightning intertwined, emitting an aura fluctuation that made one's heart tremble. Although it was not Ling Xiao's first time facing the 9 emperors of the human clan, he could feel that each time he encountered the 9 emperors' shadows, the 9 emperors' powers would grow stronger. Rumble. He moved freely in the sea of lightning, ignoring the terrifying destructive power of the divine tribulation. He clashed with the 9th archphantoms, and an incomparably terrifying fluctuation erupted, almost shattering the surrounding sea of lightning. What's going on? I seem to see the scene of a huge battle in the sky. Isn't Ling Xiao undergoing his tribulation? Why are you fighting with someone? Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with shock. Aren't you all ignorant and inexperienced? When heaven-defying characters undergo their tribulations, they can activate the mysterious imprints in the world. Phantoms of ancient experts, chaos fiend gods, and even primordial ferocious beasts will appear. Ling Xiao should be fighting against those imprints right now. It's not surprising. An old sage stroked his beard and slowly explained. Fighting against the imprints of heaven-defying beings? This Ling Xiao is really a demon. Perhaps he can also be imprinted by the world and appear countless years later when others are undergoing their tribulations. He can be considered as some kind of immortal. Someone said enviously. The 9 heavenly kings stood outside the divine tribulation, their eyes cold and filled with killing intent. Hearing the discussions around them, they were even more determined to kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. The battle between Ling Xiao and the phantoms of the 9 emperors was extremely intense. Although he had already become a saint, the phantoms of the 9 emperors seemed to have gained even more power. When they fought at the same level, Ling Xiao could feel the invincible power of the 9 emperors of the human race that suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths and swept through all the worlds. In the end, after Ling Xiao destroyed the 9th arch-phantoms one by one, he was also severely injured. His body was a bloody mess, and because of the imprint of the Supreme Emperor's aura, his recovery became incomparably slow. Ling Xiao saw the 9 heavenly kings, who were waiting for him, from the corner of his eyes, and almost instantly understood their plan. You want to wait for me to pass the divine tribulation and strike while I'm severely injured? In that case, have a taste of the power of the divine tribulation. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. In an instant, he charged towards the 9 heavenly kings. Rumble. As Ling Xiao moved, the divine tribulation also began to move. Especially when he sensed that the 9 heavenly kings had appeared within the range of the divine tribulation. Ling Xiao's divine tribulation became even more terrifying. Bolts of lightning raged, crossing the 9 heavens like a mountain range, and fell towards Ling Xiao and the 9 heavenly kings at the same time. Bastard! The 9 heavenly kings' faces changed drastically, and they were so angry that they almost jumped up. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so crazy. He actually dared to continue attacking them when he was undergoing the divine tribulation. One should know that if other people appeared during the divine tribulation, the power of the divine tribulation would multiply. It would be seen as a provocation to the heavenly Tao, and it would destroy everything. How dare Ling Xiao do this? The 9 heavenly kings couldn't figure it out. After all, the current divine tribulation was already terrifying enough. Ling Xiao was so crazy to drag the 9 heavenly kings into the divine tribulation. Even if the 9 heavenly kings were severely injured or killed by the divine tribulation, Ling Xiao would undoubtedly die. They didn't have time to think, because Ling Xiao had already charged over. Rumble. Terrifying fist prints swept across the world, and Ling Xiao's fist blasted towards Wuxia. Under Ling Xiao's secret teleportation technique, his speed was extremely fast, and Wuxia had no way to dodge at all. He could only passively resist. Although Ling Xiao's body was badly mutilated, and he was deeply injured, his physical body was unparalleled. After destroying the 9 heavenly kings' phantoms, his body was even more ferocious. Wuxia's face changed drastically. He could only crazily mobilize all the strength in his body to resist, and at the same time, he wanted to retreat quickly. Crack! Ling Xiao's overbearing fist collided with Wuxia's, and instantly made his body tremble. A crisp sound came from his arm, and it directly exploded with a loud bang. He staggered back, but at this moment, vast lightning fell from the sky and struck his body, causing him to tremble all over. He coughed out blood, and his whole body seemed to be numb. Save me! Huaqiu's eyes were filled with incomparable terror, and he called for help from the great heavenly kings and the others. Bang! Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably cold. He descended from the sky and stepped on Huaqiu's body. Under the illumination of the lightning, Huaqiu directly exploded into a mist of blood. Ninth brother. Chapter 2343. They had never thought that Ling Xiao would attack them so crazily during the tribulation. Moreover, he had killed the 9th heaven Wang Huaqiu with a single strike. After all, Huaqiu was only a saint in the great perfection realm. After suffering Ling Xiao's strike, coupled with the terrifying lightning of the tribulation, he could not resist at all. Even the great Sky King and the others could not save Huaqiu in time. Ling Xiao, I will kill you! The great Sky King roared furiously. He glared at Ling Xiao before turning around and flying out of the tribulation. Even though he was boiling with killing intent and wanted nothing more than to tear Ling Xiao into pieces, he knew that in the face of such a terrifying divine tribulation, they would probably lose their lives before they could kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. Due to the appearance of the 9 heavenly kings, the tribulation also boiled up instantly. Bolts of lightning intertwined with each other, containing an incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation, completely drowning Ling Xiao. Every bolt of lightning seemed to contain an energy fluctuation that could destroy the heavens and earth, capable of shattering everything. It was extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao was also in great danger. When the lightning struck his body, it caused his skin to split open, and his flesh to become a bloody mess. It was extremely difficult for him to recover to his original state. Ling Xiao tried his best to activate the Sky Devouring Secret Skill and Sky Punishment Secret Skill. As he refined the Supreme Lightning with Sky Punishment Secret Skill, he swallowed the vast and violent lightning energy into his stomach to refine his body. You want to run? It's not that easy. Ling Xiao sneered when he saw the great Sky King and the others from the corner of his eyes. He took a step forward, and lightning raged around him as he charged towards the remaining 8 heavenly kings. Boom! Ling Xiao's fist was unparalleled, containing domineering and terrifying energy. At the same time, it was strengthened by the lightning tribulation, making it seem even more ferocious. The 8 heavenly kings felt their scalps tingle, and their hearts palpitate. The heavens and domain that the 9 heavenly kings cultivated had already been shattered by Ling Xiao's terrifying tribulation. Furthermore, they were all fleeing for their lives, extremely fearful. Ling Xiao's fist collided with the great Sky Kings. Lightning exploded in the sky, and both of them were sent flying back. At the same time, powerful lightning filled the surroundings. Ling Xiao used this force to teleport, and appeared behind the 8 heavenly kings. Then he punched the 8 heavenly kings in the back. Crack! The 8 heavenly kings' divine body shield exploded, and Ling Xiao's fist pierced through the 8 heavenly kings' chest, creating a huge bloody hole. Pfft! Ling Xiao, you dare! The 8th heavenly king's body trembled as bolts of lightning struck him. turning him into a bloody mess. Although he was roaring loudly, his eyes were filled with unconcealable fear as he looked at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had really made up his mind to kill them all. Why wouldn't I dare? You are the second one. Ling Xiao smiled coldly. He struck down with his palm and a sharp saber aura streaked across the sky, directly cutting the 8 heavenly kings in half. Even their souls could not escape in time, and were completely killed by Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body exuded a majestic aura. He directly used the divine body devouring secret skill, and swallowed the 8 heavenly kings' blood essence and souls into his body. Vast and majestic life force surged. Ling Xiao's aura became stronger as if he had eaten a great tonic. The injuries he had suffered from the lightning tribulation also began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ling Xiao, you upped. The great Sky King saw the 9 heavenly kings and the 8 heavenly kings being killed by Ling Xiao one after another. He was so angry that his body trembled, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura became extremely weak. Don't worry. One by one, it will be your turn soon. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold and sharp as he glanced at the great Sky King. Then he charged towards the others. Rumble. As Ling Xiao went through the heavenly tribulation, he executed his killing techniques. Under the cover of the heavenly tribulation, the 9 heavenly kings were actually defeated by Ling Xiao one by one. They were completely unable to escape from Ling Xiao's palms, and were all killed by him. In the end, only the great Sky King was left of the 9 heavenly kings. Ling Xiao directly killed the 8 heavenly kings. They all died in an extremely aggrieved manner. Not even their bones were left behind. Even their flesh and souls had become nourishment for Ling Xiao. Crack. Ling Xiao's body suddenly emitted a bright light. Streaks of auspicious qi rose and talisman scripts intertwined. Vast divine aura spread out and various mysterious phenomena appeared in the surrounding heaven and earth. The lightning tribulation that filled the sky also disappeared without a trace at this moment. Only the great Tao celestial flowers floated down. Golden lotuses formed in the void, accompanied by mysterious and ancient Tao sounds, which made people feel as if they had fallen into a mysterious state of Tao comprehension. Ling Xiao's white robe fluttered in the wind. His temperament was ethereal and otherworldly. He was shrouded in celestial light and auspicious qi. Chaotic light exploded around him, as if it was going to split the heaven and earth apart. Divine rings rippled out from between his eyebrows. A mysterious figure could be vaguely seen sitting cross-legged in the void, illuminating the heavens. Mysterious Tao rhymes filled his body. The great Tao laws intertwined, making him seem as if he had become a part of the great Tao. His words were law, and he could mobilize the supreme power of heaven and earth. His body was filled with an immortal luster. His qi and blood rose like a rainbow piercing through the 9 heavens. The acupoints all over his body were as bright as the stars in the sky. They intertwined and gathered, forming billions of divine kingdoms. A mysterious world appeared behind him. It seemed to be hidden between reality and illusion. It changed into all kinds of mysterious scenes at will. One could not help but be immersed in it at a glance. Primordial spirit, Tao laws, physical body, heart force. Ling Xiao had finally reached the 4 saint realms. Feeling the terrifying aura emitted from Ling Xiao, even the great saints felt their hearts palpitate. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fear. The great heavenly king was about to go crazy. Although he wanted nothing more than to tear Ling Xiao into pieces, his rationality told him that he was no match for Ling Xiao. Great heavenly king, your 8 brothers are already dead. Why don't you go accompany them? Ling Xiao said indifferently. His expression was incomparably calm. After proving the 4 saints, Ling Xiao seemed to have fallen into an incomparably mysterious state. His entire person had merged with heaven and earth, reflecting the heaven's heart. His every move had a mighty force that could suppress everything. Originally, the great heavenly king could still make him feel a little threatened. But now there was none at all. Ling Xiao, do you really think that you can do whatever you want after proving the 4 saints? Chapter 2344. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, he felt a sense of fatal danger approaching, causing his hair to stand on end. Without hesitation, a vast amount of divine power gushed out from his body as he threw a punch above his head. Crack! Above Ling Xiao's head, the sky shattered as a huge palm print pressed down from the sky. It was like the hand of the heavens, containing unfathomable divine power and unparalleled power as it collided with Ling Xiao's punch. Ling Xiao's fist print shattered with a loud bang. His entire body shook violently as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying by the unparalleled divine power. How could a puny saint block my full-powered palm strike? The four sages are indeed extraordinary. A slightly surprised voice rang out in the void, containing a kind of calm and steady fluctuation, as if everything was under his control. Above the shattered sky, a white-haired old man wearing a loose Taoist robe was holding a purple bamboo cane in his hand. There was a purple gold gourd hanging on the cane. He looked like a celestial being with an otherworldly aura as he slowly floated down. His gaze was deep and indifferent as if he regarded the world as ants. He had the bearing of a king. After he appeared, the great Tao of heaven and earth in the surroundings resonated with him. Is that ancestor purple bamboo of the Chinese? Someone exclaimed in surprise, and a look of awe immediately appeared on his face. Ancestor Purple Bamboo was a genuine sage ruler expert who had lived for countless years. He was once famous in the divine realm, and his strength was unfathomable. No one had expected that Patriarch Purple Bamboo would be the one to attack. Ancestor, you're finally here. Ancestor, please take action and kill this bastard to avenge my 8 brothers. After seeing the old man, the great heavenly king immediately cupped his hands and bowed. His eyes were filled with awe. Trash. You can't even deal with Ling Xiao. 8 of the 9 heavenly kings are dead. You're the sinner of the Chinese. Ancestor Purple Bamboo glanced coldly at the great heavenly king. In fact, his heart was bleeding. Even if the Chinese had a huge business and a deep foundation, it was not so easy to cultivate a great sage powerhouse. Now, 8 of them were killed by Ling Xiao in an instant. It was not that Black Bamboo Patriarch was unwilling to make a move. He had been hiding in the dark and was ready to make a move when Ling Xiao was about to kill Wuxia. However, he was stopped at the critical moment. The person in the dark used a supreme ability to seal up the space, preventing saint rulers from entering. Ancestor Zizhu only managed to break through the seal with great difficulty and made his way in. However, when he appeared, he happened to see that Ling Xiao had successfully transcended the tribulation. Of the 9 heavenly kings, only one great heavenly king was left. Ancestor, I'm guilty. However, the most important thing now is to kill Ling Xiao. As long as we can get the heavenly luck and the wordless heavenly book, we Chinese can pay any price. The great heavenly king whispered to Patriarch Purple Bamboo. Get lost. Ancestor Purple Bamboo scolded, but he also tacitly agreed with the great heavenly king's words. The most important thing now was to kill Ling Xiao and seize the heavenly fate and the wordless heavenly book. For this, they could do anything. A saint ruler of the Chinese? I didn't expect a saint ruler to launch a sneak attack from behind. How despicable. Ling Xiao sneered, and his eyes were incomparably deep. If he had not sensed something from the great heavenly king's expression just now, that blow would have been enough to seriously injure him. A saint ruler was unfathomable. He was the king of the saint path. His words were the law of the world. His strength far exceeded that of a great saint. Perhaps 10 saints could barely fight a great saint, but 10 great saints were no match for a saint ruler. It could even be said that it was a one-sided massacre. Ling Xiao, you killed 8 Chinese people. You'll pay with your life. Ancestor Zizhu said faintly. Without any explanation, he slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao without any hesitation at all. At the level of a saint ruler, it could be said that he stood at the peak of the Almighty. When the great emperors and imperial emperors did not appear, a saint ruler was an invincible existence. Naturally, they did as they pleased. They did not need to care about any false reputation or opinions. Did they need a reason to kill someone or snatch something? After paying such a huge price and finally testing Ling Xiao's true combat strength, Ancestor Zizhu naturally had no scruples and attacked directly. Rumble. The huge palm print covered the sky and the sun. It was mighty like the hand of God. Not only was it incomparably huge, but it also contained the power to annihilate everything. It slammed directly toward Ling Xiao. If this palm fell, even a great sage would be slapped to death in an instant. There was no exception. Open for me. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, revealing a blood-red fighting spirit. The flipping sky seal spun in his palm, and in an instant, it exploded with unparalleled divine power. It flew across the sky to meet ancestor Zizhu. At the same time, Ling Xiao erupted with his strongest strength. His glabella, inner body, heart force, and physical body were all shining, turning into 4 immortal divine rings suspended behind him. It made him emit a wave of invulnerability. Kacha. The flipping sky seal was like an ancient mountain. Its power was extremely terrifying. However, after colliding with Ancestor Zizhu's palm, it was slapped away by Ancestor Zizhu's palm. The palm did not decrease in power, and collided with Ling Xiao again. Ling Xiao's body trembled violently. The 4 divine rings were also extremely bright in an instant. As if they had reached the limit of what they could bear, tiny cracks appeared. Ling Xiao's body shook violently. His qi and blood surged as he flew backward with a loud bang. The gap is too big. A saint ruler is the king of the holy path. He can control the great Tao of heaven and earth as he pleases. With my current cultivation, even if I'm in the 4 saint realms, I'm only a saint. The difference of 2 realms is like heaven and earth. Ling Xiao sighed softly in his heart. However, his gaze became sharper and sharper. His battle-intent soared, and a vast aura surged between his eyebrows. An ancient heavenly book suddenly appeared in the sky and bloomed with a dazzling light. The wordless heavenly book floated above Ling Xiao's head. It was filled with chaotic light, as if the scene of the birth and death of an infinite world had appeared. A vast and terrifying power poured into Ling Xiao's body, causing his aura to skyrocket. The wordless heavenly book. The wordless heavenly book has appeared. Ancestor Zizhu has finally made Ling Xiao feel pressured? Is this the legendary wordless heavenly book, a chaotic supreme treasure? Everyone's eyes lit up instantly. Their breathing quickened and their bodies trembled. Chapter 2345. In the sky, Yi Liangchen and a sloppy old Taoist stood side by side. However, the sloppy old Taoist looked very helpless, while Yi Liangchen's eyes were filled with worry. Old man, it seems like your attainments and formations are not good enough. Ancestor Zizhu has already escaped. I'm afraid that those old monsters will come in soon. Yi Liangchen snorted coldly. Ahem. Who said that my attainments and formations are not good enough? I was the #1 formation master in the ancient heavenly court. I sealed off all worlds. Even the great emperor could not break my formation. It's just that my health hasn't been good recently, so that old thing Zizhu took advantage of the loophole. Don't worry, they won't be able to break my Treya creation formation so easily. The sloppy old Taoist said awkwardly. Treya creation formation? Old man, can't you just save brother Ling Xiao? If this goes on, I'm afraid he will die in the hands of those old monsters sooner or later. Yi Liangchen said worriedly. How can it be so easy? Let me tell you, those old monsters are not the only ones who are after Ling Xiao. There are many existences that you can't imagine. If I dare to save him now, I'll die immediately. Do you believe me? That's right, Ling Xiao said with a smile. The sloppy old Taoist said with a bitter smile. Die an unnatural death? Could it be, could it be? Yi Liangchen's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. He knew very well that the sloppy old Taoist's strength was unfathomable. Even those old monsters in the Saint King realm would find it difficult to be a match for the sloppy old Taoist. Otherwise, the sloppy old Taoist wouldn't have been able to silently set up the Treya creation formation and stop many old monsters. Yi Liangchen realized that he had thought too simply. It seemed that the people who wanted to deal with Ling Xiao were not as simple as they seemed. You don't have to think too much. I can only do my best. Now that we are in the dark, those old things can't find our traces. If Ling Xiao is really in danger, I will make a move. The sloppy old Taoist said slowly. Ling Xiao knew that there was a huge gap between him and Ancestor Zizhu, so he did not hesitate to take out the wordless book. After collecting the 12 heaven skills, Ling Xiao had completely refined the wordless heavenly book. He also understood the mysteries of the wordless heavenly book. Although the wordless book was still severely damaged, it was still a chaos treasure. By all, it was able to unleash an extremely terrifying power. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body. His battle intent rose, and his aura skyrocketed. By his side. By his eyes, by his eyes, his aura. Buys by side, his aura buys, and his aura buys. Buys by he by God by now by buys and continued and were and by the time was with buys way with spies. Wordless heavenly book. Crack. Emperor technique, great chaotic origin seal. Accompanied by a majestic voice, the huge palm suddenly exploded. Endless chaotic light surged and gathered towards his palm. It was like a bright sun, but also like an ancient chaotic world. It instantly made everyone's heart palpitate. Heaven fighting. The battle intent around Ling Xiao also rose to the extreme in an instant. He directly charged towards Ancestor Zijou. With a punch, divine light bloomed all over the sky. It contained an unparalleled power, causing the earth and sky to shake. Rumble. The Great Chaotic Origin Seal was the Chinese Emperor technique that Ancestor Purple Bamboo cultivated. It contained the chaotic origin and the unparalleled divine power that could destroy everything. After Ling Xiao's punch was strengthened by the wordless heavenly book, he also pushed the heaven battling secret skill to the extreme. With a peerless fighting spirit, the two fists collided with each other. The void shook and divine light gushed out. Although Ling Xiao's physical body was unparalleled, he was no match for the Great Chaotic Origin Seal. He was sent flying by Ancestor Zijou's palm. Swoosh. Although Ling Xiao was sent flying, he did not suffer any injuries. His eyes became more and more dazzling, and the aura around him rose rapidly. In an instant, 5 rays of bright light appeared in his palm. They were like 5 rays of sword qi that swept through the void. They contained the mysterious fluctuations of the 5 elements and continued to attack Ancestor Zijou. 5 elements. Ling Xiao's aura changed drastically in an instant. It was as if he had turned into a peerless assassin. His fighting spirit soared and the 5 elements sword qi grew endlessly, enveloping Ancestor Zijou. Boom. Ancestor Zijou's divine gang shield was extremely strong. Although the 5 elements sword qi was powerful, they shattered when they hit the divine gang shield. In the end, Ancestor Zijou threw out a palm and the 5 elements sword qi was completely annihilated. Yin and Yang. The battle intent around Ling Xiao rose even more. In an instant, it transformed into Yin and Yang Qi. The power of extreme Yang and extreme Yin and extreme gentleness merged into one on his body, transforming into a huge Yin and Yang millstone that crushed down on Ancestor Zijou. Get out of my way. Ancestor Zijou frowned as a sense of irritation appeared in his heart. Although Ling Xiao had received the support of the wordless heavenly book, he was still not his opponent. However, Ling Xiao's attacks were like endless waves, wave after wave. Although he had broken through them, he did not cause any damage to Ling Xiao. Moreover, he vaguely felt that Ling Xiao's attacks seemed to be accumulating power. Every attack contained a completely different change, but his attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Boom. Black Bamboo Ancestor used the Great Chaotic Origin Seal again, smashing the Yin-Yang millstone in the void into dust. Then he slammed it on Ling Xiao's body and sent him flying. However, Ling Xiao's body shone brightly. The wordless heavenly book shone with a brilliant light. The heaven-devouring secret skill devoured everything. It devoured all of Ancestor Zijou's power and dissipated it. Just like that, Ling Xiao's full-powered attacks were all broken by Ancestor Zijou. However, Ling Xiao launched another attack, and an intense battle broke out between the two. Ancestor Zijou also realized that Ling Xiao's power was getting stronger and stronger. In the beginning, he could break Ling Xiao's attack with a casual attack. In the end, he had to go all out to block Ling Xiao's power. This is the 12 Sky Skills secret skill. I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeve. Chapter 2346. Reincarnation. Ling Xiao roared once more amidst the incomparably intense battle. Rumble. In an instant, the void around him trembled as a mysterious reincarnation aura spread out, blooming with dazzling light. Endless reincarnation light swept towards ancestor purple bamboo like an ocean. Every ray of reincarnation light seemed to be able to draw people into the endless reincarnation, completely erasing them from the world without leaving a trace. The light of reincarnation surged violently, causing ancestor purple bamboo to feel threatened. Is this the secret reincarnation technique of the Samsara temple? Boy, have a taste of my heavenly capital divine slash. Ancestor purple bamboo shouted coldly. In an instant, an extremely terrifying aura erupted from his body like a volcanic eruption. He turned his palm into a saber, and the vast saber aura seemed to be able to destroy everything. As the saber slashed down, 12 saber shadows appeared and gathered together at the same time, setting off an endless storm in all directions, wanting to completely destroy everything. Another emperor technique. Everyone's heart trembled. As expected of a Saint King realm expert, the Hua clan with a deep foundation. The two supreme emperor techniques that ancestor purple bamboo cultivated were extremely terrifying. In particular, the heavenly capital divine slash was rumored to be from the heavenly capital scripture of Emperor Tiandu. It contained unfathomable divine power that could destroy all living things. Crack! The sky shook as the endless reincarnation light collided with the saber aura, causing the surrounding void to tremble. In the end, they were annihilated at the same time, and both Ling Xiao and ancestor purple bamboo were forced to retreat. Karma. Ling Xiao's eyes were as bright as a sword, and the fighting spirit around him rose to the extreme. He used the secret karma technique again, exuding a mysterious and vast force of karma. It was like the belief of all living things, enough to make a saint fall into the abyss of hell. Once again, he charged towards ancestor purple bamboo. As the saying went, saints were not tainted by karma because the force of karma was so terrifying that even saints dared not touch it. Otherwise, they would be entangled with karma and eventually be devoured by the heavenly way. Ling Zhao's attack was extremely overbearing, causing ancestor purple bamboo's expression to turn increasingly ugly. Damn it! He didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so difficult to deal with after receiving the support of the wordless heavenly book. The 12 sky skills secret technique in Ling Xiao's hands shone with unparalleled sharpness, making him somewhat unable to fend for himself. If this continued, he might really lose in Ling Xiao's hands. How did Ling Xiao become so ferocious after using the wordless heavenly book? Even ancestor purple bamboo can fight him without falling into a disadvantageous position. This is truly unbelievable. Everyone's voice was trembling as they watched the battle between Ling Xiao and ancestor purple bamboo. They were filled with emotions. From killing Huang Tai in the beginning to killing Huaqiao and the other 8 heavenly kings, Ling Xiao had taken out the wordless heavenly book and was actually able to fight Patriarch Purple Bamboo. This was simply beyond everyone's understanding. Was this something a saint could do? The Chosen One is truly heaven-defying. We humans like to be unreasonable. Now, we can't even tolerate the heaven's chosen child? Right now, our human race is facing a great enemy, and the divine world is surrounded by wolves. The great tribulation of the epic is about to arrive. At this time, instead of thinking about uniting all forces, you want to eliminate dissidents, kill people, and seize treasures? Ha! This is our human race. There were also people who said with incomparable sorrow, their eyes filled with disappointment. That's right. Ling Xiao is so monstrous. In the future, he might even become the 10th emperor of the human race. How can the so-called 12 sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes be so short-sighted? Someone echoed with emotion. Hee, so what? Are there not many spineless people in the human race? Now there are lackeys who have defected to the demon race. When the time comes, even if the human race is annihilated by the demon race, as long as they defected to the demon race and were willing to give up their human bloodline, they would naturally be able to live well. Someone sneered. Unknowingly, everyone's attitude began to change. Originally, everyone had a look of indifference and watched coldly as Ling Xiao was surrounded and killed by everyone. After all, such things had happened too often over the countless years. An ordinary man's wealth is his own ruin. Ling Xiao had offended the immortal sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes, but he had become the chosen one and obtained the wordless heavenly book. How could those sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes let him go? However, no one expected Ling Xiao to be so monstrous. Not only did he achieve the unprecedented 4 saint realms, but he also killed great saints with his saint realm cultivation. Now he even fought with a saint king. Such peerless talent could no longer be described as monstrous. Many people suddenly felt that perhaps Ling Xiao was the hope and future of the human race. Therefore, everyone unconsciously stood in Ling Xiao's position and began to sympathize with him. They even began to hate those immortal sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes. Puff, puff. However, at this moment, 2 screams sounded in the void, attracting everyone's attention. Among the 3 people who were besieging Lu Bai, the Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage were directly killed by Lu Bai. Their entire bodies turned into a cloud of blood mist, and their souls were completely destroyed. Bastard! Lu Bai, you are a Saint King realm cultivator. You have been lying to me all this time. Zhong Tian Great Sage's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He was so angry that his whole body trembled as he pointed at Lu Bai and roared. Correct. Your 4 brothers are already dead. Why don't you accompany them? Lu Bai smiled indifferently, his expression incomparably calm. His robe was whiter than snow as he strolled in the void. Blood rain swirled around him, but it did not stain his robe. His entire body exuded an ethereal and otherworldly aura. A vast and unfathomable aura erupted, making Lu Bai look like a supreme king at this moment. He was majestic, mysterious, and ancient. Kacha! He struck out with his palm. A vast palm print swept across the void and enveloped Zhong Tian Great Sage, giving him no chance to escape. I don't accept this. I don't accept this. Old ancestor, save me. Zhong Tian Great Sage roared angrily, but his eyes were filled with incomparable terror. He was already heavily injured, so how could he withstand Lu Bai's full cultivation? He was directly blown apart by Lu Bai's palm, and his miserable cries came to an abrupt end. At this point, the 5 heavenly great sages of the 9 imperial gates were all dead. Saint King. Lu Bai has become a Saint King? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, their eyes filled with incomparable reverence. Lu Bai had only become the war god of the war god temple for a few 100,000 years, but his talent was extraordinary. He had made a name for himself in the god world, and once suppressed the younger generation to the point that he was invincible. Now that Lu Bai had become a Saint King, there was probably no one who could stop him anymore. Chapter 2347. Rumble. Saintly might rose around elder purple bamboo, and wisps of sword aura appeared. Those were the swords of his primordial spirit, capable of destroying everything. The power of karma that shrouded him was destroyed by the swords of the primordial spirit. Patriarch Purple Bamboo had to use all his strength before he managed to break through the vast karmic powers around him. He rushed out from within. The karma secret skill was too terrifying. The karma power was enough to make a saint suffer from chi deviation and fall into infernal hell. Even though Ancestor Purple Bamboo was powerful, he did not want to be contaminated by the karma power. Lu Bai has become a Saint King? Ancestor Purple Bamboo destroyed the karma power around him and was shocked by the scene of Lu Bai killing the culmination saint. His eyes were filled with shock, and his expression was somewhat unsightly. In terms of seniority, Ancestor Purple Bamboo was even more senior than the Scarlet Dragon War God. He was an antique who had lived for millions of years. He still remembered that Lu Bai was just a child hundreds of thousands of years ago, even younger than his grandchildren. But hundreds of thousands of years had passed, and Lu Bai had risen in a heaven-defying manner. He was now on equal footing with him and had become a supreme Saint King. This caused Ancestor Purple Bamboo's heart to be extremely unsettled. Destiny! Ling Xiao roared, exuding an illusory destiny power. In an instant, endless divine light bloomed from his palm and enveloped Ancestor Purple Bamboo. That was the light of destiny, which could directly attack the fate of living beings and wipe out everything. It was extremely terrifying. This was the first time Ling Xiao had fully activated the karma secret skill after cultivating it. The vast light of destiny instantly pulled Ancestor Purple Bamboo's thoughts back. His eyes were extremely solemn. At this moment, he felt a fatal threat from Ling Xiao's body. The karma secret skill of the Fane of Destiny? Damn it. Ancestor Purple Bamboo trembled, and was even a little flustered. He knew how terrifying the karma secret skill was. Legend had it that it could turn the wheel of destiny and wipe out all living beings. Rumble. The sacred light around Patriarch Purple Bamboo suddenly erupted. His eyes revealed rays of blazing divine light, causing the surrounding sky to shake. 12 runes appeared between his palms in an instant. His aura skyrocketed in the void and turned into 12 ancient formation flags. They fell around him and formed an ancient and mysterious formation. The 12 Divine Wraith Formation. This was the supreme imperial formation of the Chinese. According to legend, it was created by Emperor Tiandu. Not only did it contain the power to destroy everything, but it could also seal the sky and earth and defend against everything. Under the cover of the 12 Divine Wraith Formation, Ancestor Zizhu's aura became ethereal and illusory. The light of destiny swept across the sky and collided with the Great 12 Divine Wraith Array in an instant. Boom! Like a terrifying storm, the light of destiny illuminated the sky, causing the Great 12 Divine Wraith Array to shake violently as if it would be annihilated at any time. Ancestor Purple Bamboo also unleashed his full power. His nascent spirit shone brilliantly, splitting into 12 nascent spirits to suppress the 12 Divine Wraith Formation, making the 12 formation flags extremely sturdy. In the end, they forcefully blocked the invasion of the light of destiny. Ancestor Zizhu, take my last move, Chaos. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. After using the karma secret skill, he did not stop and attacked again. Boom. The void around Ling Xiao suddenly shattered. The surrounding sky shook violently and the Great Path precepts appeared. A vast chaotic light rose up and Ling Xiao's aura instantly rose to the extreme. 12 divine rings appeared behind Ling Xiao. They were like 12 vast and ancient worlds, spewing out endless light. Heaven battling 5 elements, yin and yang. Samsara, karma, destiny and chaos. The 12 divine wraith secret skill exploded at the same time. It was as if they had merged with the secret skill of chaos. They directly manifested a supreme power that could destroy the world, and caused Ling Xiao's aura to skyrocket. The 12 ancient worlds suppressed Ancestor Zizhu at the same time. They rumbled and shook the sky. They sealed the surrounding area and surrounded Ancestor Zizhu in the center. The aura that Ling Xiao exuded made Ancestor Zizhu's scalp tingle. His expression instantly became extremely solemn. Ling Xiao's aura and strength continued to skyrocket from the heaven-battling secret skill to the secret skill of chaos. Finally, when he used the secret skill of chaos, he exploded with his strongest power. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. Ancestor Zizhu's eyes were extremely sharp and contained a blazing killing intent. Buzz. Dazzling light flickered in his hand. In an instant, an ancient black flag appeared. It fluttered in the void and covered the entire area. It was like a huge canopy that exuded a vast emperor's aura. After the black flag appeared, the void instantly shattered. Even the chaotic laws of heaven in the Lingxiao mountain range had no way of resisting this black flag. The 12 ancient worlds trembled violently as if they were about to be shattered by the black flag. That's the heavenly divine wraith flag of the Chinese? Someone exclaimed, his voice trembling violently. Emperor Tiandu of the Chinese was one of the 9 emperors of the human tribe. It was said that he was also a formation emperor. The heavenly divine wraith flag that he left behind for the Chinese was an extreme Dao emperor weapon. The heavenly divine wraith flag was not only an extreme Dao emperor weapon, but also a supreme formation disc. It could form the 12 heavenly divine wraith formation. It was extremely powerful. No one had expected Ancestor Zizhu to bring the extreme Dao emperor weapon that could suppress the fate of the Chinese for Ling Xiao. It's over. Once the heavenly divine wraith flag appears, Ling Xiao will definitely die. That's right. Although the wordless heavenly book is powerful, it's not an offensive treasure. Now that it's damaged, I'm afraid it won't be able to resist the heavenly divine wraith flag. Is Ling Xiao going to die in the hands of the Chinese? Everyone's hearts were in their mouths and their eyes were filled with shock. At this moment, Ling Xiao looked extremely calm. It was as if he was not surprised by the appearance of the heavenly divine wraith flag. Rumble. Dazzling light shone in his palm. In an instant, the time compass soared into the sky like a dazzling sun. It emitted endless brilliance and endless time power. Freeze. Ling Xiao uttered a word. In an instant, the time compass collided with the heavenly divine wraith flag. The vast and ancient time power surged and froze in the void with the heavenly divine wraith flag. Chapter 2348. No one had expected Ling Xiao to have the time compass, an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. The time compass was the supreme emperor weapon of the flowing time emperor. It was famous in the ancient times as it contained the power of time origin, and could destroy everything. Ling Xiao had used the time compass to activate the power of time, and stop the flow of time, forming a time-stop domain. Not only did it stop the supreme heaven divine fiend flag for a moment, but even Ancestor Purple Bamboo was trapped in the time-stop domain. He could only watch Ling Xiao charge towards him. The supreme heaven divine fiend flag was also an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. The time-stop domain formed by the time compass shattered after a moment. However, this moment was enough for Ling Xiao to kill Ancestor Purple Bamboo. Ling Xiaoyu. Ancestor Purple Bamboo was enraged, but Ling Xiao's unparalleled battle prowess forced him to swallow his words. He could only hurriedly circulate his cultivation to resist. Rumble. The sky shook as a vast heavenly secret skill exploded. The 12 ancient worlds seemed to be able to destroy everything. They instantly slammed onto Ancestor Purple Bamboo's body. At the same time, they were like a huge millstone that began to move slowly. Puff. Ancestor Purple Bamboo spat out a mouthful of blood as his body trembled violently. Ling Xiao's supreme attack had caused him an unimaginable injury. He roared angrily as he unleashed the supreme combat strength of a sage king. He kept attacking the surrounding worlds. Every attack had the power to destroy heaven and earth, shattering the ancient worlds. Suppress. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as the flipping sky seal spun across the sky. The vast extreme Tao Emperor's aura was activated. It was like an immortal mountain as it smashed towards Ancestor Purple Bamboo. The flipping sky seal was an incomplete heavenly emperor seal. Although it was severely damaged, it still retained some of the power of an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. At this moment, Ling Xiao had activated the extreme Tao Emperor's aura contained in it. Rumble. Ancestor Purple Bamboo hastily blocked the attack. His arm was smashed into a bloody mist by the flipping sky seal. He staggered back and coughed out another mouthful of blood. Ling Xiao, I will kill you. Ancestor Purple Bamboo roared as his eyes were filled with rage and killing intent. Boom. The blood qi around his body was monstrous, as if it was on fire. His Saint King realm cultivation erupted to the extreme, and he directly summoned the capital heaven divine fiend flag that was entangled with the time compass in the void. The capital heaven divine killing flag split into 12 formation flags in a split second. Runes intertwined with each other, and a vast formation rose up, directly forming the 12 capital heaven divine killing formation, the supreme formation of the Hua people. With the protection of the great 12 capital heaven divine wraith formation, Patriarch Purple Bamboo finally had a chance to catch his breath. Boom, boom, boom. The flipping sky seal was like an immemorial divine mountain. It repeatedly collided with the 12 divine beings killing formation, but it was bounced back. It was unable to break through the defense of the formation. Ancestor Purple Bamboo, are you trying to be a coward? You're a Saint King of the Chinese, but you don't even dare to fight with me. If Emperor Tiandu was still alive and knew that there was such an unfilial descendant like you, I'm afraid he would be angered to death. Ling Xiao sneered coldly. However, he had to admit that although he had the wordless heavenly book and the time compass, Patriarch Purple Bamboo was also an old fox. He was scared out of his wits by Ling Xiao and directly used the capital heaven divine killing flag to evolve the 12 capital heaven divine killing formation, forming a turtle shell to protect himself. With Ling Xiao's strength, it was indeed very difficult for him to break through the 12 capital heaven divine killing formation. Ling Xiao, don't be arrogant. I didn't expect you to have the inheritance of the flowing time emperor. It seems that this time, you have another reason to die. Patriarch Purple Bamboo sneered. He was not provoked by Ling Xiao's words. Instead, he pointed out that Ling Xiao had the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor. Sure enough, as soon as Patriarch Purple Bamboo's voice fell, a cold and greedy look appeared in the eyes of the people from the Space-Time Heavenly Gate. Speaking of which, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate also hated Ling Xiao to the core. The holy son of the Space-Time Heavenly Gate had also died at Ling Xiao's hands. However, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate did not make a move because they wanted the Chinese and the 9 Imperial Obelisk to take the lead. Now that they saw that Ling Xiao had the time compass, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate could no longer remain calm. Ling Xiao, the Flowing Time Emperor, is the founder of the Space-Time Heavenly Gate. If you are willing to hand over the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor and the time compass, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate can let you go. What do you think? From the Space-Time Heavenly Gate, an old great sage with white hair and beard walked out and said slowly, "What a joke! The Space-Time Heavenly Gate has only obtained part of the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor and the Space Emperor. These two are great emperors from ancient times. What do they have to do with the Space-Time Heavenly Gate? Since Ling Xiao has the time compass, it means that he has received the recognition of the Flowing Time Emperor and is the successor of the Flowing Time Emperor. The Space-Time Heavenly Gate is as shameless as ever." Lu Bai said indifferently as his gaze fell on the old great sage. "You want the time compass? You people from the Space-Time Heavenly Gate are not worthy," Ling Xiao said with a cold smile. His words made the people from the Space-Time Heavenly Gate fly into a rage as they glared at him. However, Ling Xiao did not care at all. As the saying goes, when one has many lice, one will not be afraid of itching. Ling Xiao also knew that many of the Holy Lands and sects who came today probably did not intend to let him go so easily. Instead of feigning civility with them, it was better to fight with real swords and spears. However, what Ling Xiao could not figure out was why only one Saint King, Ancestor Purple Bamboo, had appeared so far. The 5 heavens great sages of the 9 imperial gates had all been killed by Lu Bai, but no one came out to stop him, let alone the people from the other sects. Saint King Ling Xiao, originally, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate wanted to spare your lives, but since you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame us. Ancestor, please kill this person for the Space-Time Heavenly Gate." The old great sage glanced gloomily at Lu Bai and Ling Xiao, then bowed respectfully to the void. Rumble. As soon as the old great sage's voice fell, the void in all directions began to tremble violently in an instant. The sky shattered with a loud bang, as if the heavenly gates had been opened, spewing out endless bright light. Powerful figures stepped out of the heavenly gates, exuding an unfathomable aura that completely covered the brilliance of the sun. Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed as he suddenly realized that the aura of these figures was not weaker than Ancestor Purple Bamboo. They were all Saint Kings. Chapter 2349. Rumble. The sky shook, and the sun and moon dimmed. The sky shook violently, and rays of divine light fell from the sky. Auspicious air rose in the surroundings, and runes circled around. The mysterious scene of the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers appeared. More than a dozen powerful figures appeared in the sky, exuding an unfathomable sage aura. The sage ruler old ancestors of the various sects had arrived. The sage ruler old ancestors were shrouded in a chaotic mist. Although their faces could not be seen clearly, their eyes were extremely cold. "Lu Bai, you dare to kill the 5 heavens great saints of the 9 heavens imperial court. You'll pay with your life," a man in a purple robe said as he stared at Lu Bai. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. The purple-robed figure was the sage ruler old ancestor of the 9 heavens imperial court. They had been trapped by the Triastria formation of creation earlier, and the purple-robed figure could only watch as the 5 heavens great saints died at the hands of Lu Bai. His heart was bleeding. This was an unbearable loss for the 9 heavens imperial court. However, this was all thanks to Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. "Purple-robed old ancestor, aren't you afraid of being annihilated by the 9 heavens imperial court?" Lu Bai said indifferently, as if he did not care about the purple-robed figure's threat at all. Good. Lu Bai, do you really think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're a Tao-proving sage ruler? Not only will Ling Xiao die today, but your war god temple will also be destroyed. The purple-robed figure was so angry that he laughed. The killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. Who was the one who set up the triastria formation of creation earlier? Do you really want to be a coward? Whether you come out or not, Ling Xiao will definitely die today. An old man in a black and white robe said indifferently. His cold eyes were like golden lamps that swept across the void, as if he could see through everything. He was the sage ruler old ancestor of the space-time heavenly gate. At this moment, he secretly used his divine power to find the person who had set up the formation. However, to his disappointment, no matter how he provoked him, the person in the dark was determined not to appear. Ling Xiao, if it weren't for the fact that someone had secretly set up a formation to stop us, you would have long been reduced to ashes. Could it be that you still want to resist at this point? The saint ruler of the heavenly curse sect also stepped forward and stared at Ling Xiao coldly. After destroying the triastria formation of creation, the saint rulers finally decided to deal with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's heaven-defying talent and battle prowess made them secretly shocked. Once such a monstrous person matured, no one would be able to control him. Since he had already offended him, he might as well kill him directly and not leave any future troubles. You beat up the young one and now the old one is here? What a bunch of shameless old bastards. It's because of you bastards who only know how to bully at home that the human race has fallen to such a state. Come, I want to see if you can kill me. Ling Xiao smiled coldly. His eyes shone with an extremely sharp light, like a drawn sword. He glanced past all the saint rulers before him without any fear. Is this Ling Xiao crazy? He wants to face so many saint ruler old ancestors alone? Everyone was shocked as they stared at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Although Ling Xiao's talent was incomparably monstrous, his battle prowess was extremely powerful, and he had all sorts of creation on him. Everyone still thought that he would not have any chance of survival today. After all, this time, the saint lands and sovereign tribes of the divine world had joined forces to strip Ling Xiao of his title as the Chosen One and the wordless heavenly book. Of course, now there was the addition of the time compass, an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. Regardless of whether he's going to die today, just his bearing and courage is enough to make me admire him. This Ling Xiao is indeed extraordinary. Someone exclaimed in surprise. It's not just a dozen saint ruler old ancestors. These saint ruler old ancestors all have saint lands and sovereign tribes behind them. They all have the inheritance of the supreme emperors. If they take out a few powerful emperor weapons, I'm afraid Ling Xiao won't be able to withstand it. That's hard to say. Didn't you notice? Among the 12 immortal saint lands, the chaotic heavenly sect, Wanfo Temple, Samsara Temple, and Taisheng Dao Palace have all remained silent and did not take action against Ling Xiao. Could it be that they will help Ling Xiao and the Golden Sovereign Tribe? Moreover, I heard from the saint ruler old ancestor of the space-time heavenly sect that someone had set up the Triastrimsa creation formation to stop them. It seems like someone is secretly helping Ling Xiao. It's getting messy, eh? However, I don't wish for Ling Xiao to die in their hands. It's not easy for the human race to produce such a peerless genius. Looking at the dozen saint ruler old ancestors in the sky, everyone's faces were filled with respect. However, there were still some who looked forward to it. Perhaps Ling Xiao could really create another miracle? Fellow cultivators, this boy is just relying on the wordless heavenly book and the time compass. He's only in the saint realm and doesn't have any treasures. He can be killed with a flip of the hand. There's no need to talk so much nonsense with him. Just kill him. Ancestor Zijou stared at Ling Xiao and sneered. Previously, he had taken out the extreme Tao Emperor weapon, the capital Heaven Divine Fiend flag, but it had been stopped by the time compass. As a result, he had been defeated by Ling Xiao and felt extremely humiliated. He could not wait to tear Ling Xiao into pieces. Among everyone, he was the one who wanted Ling Xiao's life the most. Treasures to protect yourself? Without sufficient strength, the so-called external objects are useless. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The saint ruler old ancestor of the 9 imperial gates sneered and took the lead to attack Ling Xiao. Rumble. Lightning flashed around him and his attack contained vast heavenly might. As he struck, It was as if the heavens and earth were split open. The sun and moon filled the sky and turned into bolts of lightning that were like divine dragons that attacked Ling Xiao. To be exact, he was grabbing at the wordless heavenly book above Ling Xiao's head. Kill. This boy is a spy of the demon race. Everyone has the right to kill him. The old ancestor of the space-time heavenly sect said coldly as he grabbed at the time compass. Rumble. The dozen Saint Ruler old ancestors seemed to have set off a terrifying torrent that shook the heavens in all directions. They wanted to destroy everything completely. These Saint Ruler old ancestors each had their own ulterior motives. They all coveted the treasures on Ling Xiao. Therefore they were unwilling to fall behind and attacked Ling Xiao at the same time. They did not even care about their status as Saint Rulers. The fortune and treasures on Ling Xiao had tempted them. However, Ling Xiao's demonic talent made them extremely fearful. It was better for such a demonic person to die. Otherwise, many people would not be able to rest easy. Crack. Chapter 2350. The wordless heavenly book was a chaos supreme treasure. It had suffered great damage in the battle at the beginning of the human era. As Ling Xiao gathered the 12 sky secret techniques, it began to gradually recover. Now the wordless heavenly book was like a natural plant. It had bathed in thunder and rain and began to grow vigorously. It constantly absorbed the energy of the heavens to replenish itself. Ling Xiao believed that one day, the wordless heavenly book would be completely restored. Now, the wordless heavenly book had accumulated a vast amount of origin energy. It was like an endless sea. It was the power that the wordless heavenly book used to recover itself. At this moment, it was activated by Ling Xiao and all of it poured into his body, causing his strength to soar wildly. Boom. 12 ancient worlds appeared around him, and at the same time, they spewed out endless chaotic light. 12 types of supreme will of Tao flowed slowly, giving him a kind of indestructible fluctuation, as if he could destroy everything with a raise of his hand. Bang! Ling Xiao punched out across the sky, erupting with the supreme heaven battling secret technique. Endless fighting spirit gathered as if the fighting spirits of the heavens had been summoned by Ling Xiao. An extremely intense battle began. The 9 imperial obelisks' purple-robed ancestor collided with Ling Xiao. The supreme fighting spirit instantly shattered the thunder and lightning that filled the sky. Both of them were struck by lightning and retreated at the same time. Crack. Above the sky, a vast black and white light fell from the sky. It contained the power of the void and the ethereal power of time. It seemed to form a perfect balance in that light. The space-time heavenly gate's ancestor had arrived. This was the space-time light blade. It could destroy everything. It could break down countless living beings into the most fundamental particles and completely melt them in the space-time. Although the space-time heavenly gate had lost the complete inheritance of the flowing time great emperor, the space-time heavenly gate had a deep foundation. They had discovered many time and space secret techniques from the ancient secret zone and created new ones, causing the space-time heavenly gate's strength to grow. In the face of the space-time light blade, even Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless. Break! The flipping sky seal in Ling Xiao's palm spun and instantly slammed into the space-time light blade. You're courting death. The space-time heavenly gate's ancestors' eyes were overflowing with murderous intent. His space-time light blade destroyed everything. Even a supreme sacred treasure could not block it. Flipping sky seal was strong, but in front of the space-time patriarch, it could not withstand a single blow. Clang. However, what shocked him was that the flipping sky seal was extremely sturdy. After colliding with the space-time light blade, blazing sparks burst out. Not even a mark was left on the flipping sky seal. Moreover, an unparalleled power erupted from the flipping sky seal and directly shattered the space-time light blade. Boom. 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 Ling Xiao seemed to possess endless power. The tremendous origin energy within the wordless heaven scroll had all been poured into him. Coupled with the full power of the 12 heaven skills, he actually did not lose the upper hand against all the saint rulers for a moment. What the crowd did not notice was that the flipping sky seal did not return to Ling Xiao's hand after breaking the space-time light blade. Instead, it flew towards Lu Bai. Heavenly Emperor's seal? Lu Bai muttered to himself in a voice that no one else could hear. His eyes were filled with a strange expression. Wang. Light flashed in his palm, and an ancient golden seal appeared. It looked ancient and mysterious and seemed to be engraved with the stars of the heavens and the mysterious scenes of all living beings. It seemed to be a supreme authority that could suppress the heavens. At the same time, it exuded a monstrous battle intent. This is the War God Hall's heaven battling seal? Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with extreme shock. The War God Hall's supreme emperor weapon was extremely mysterious. Although everyone knew that it was the War God Hall's heaven battling seal, it rarely appeared. It was only rumored that the War God Hall's heaven battling seal had once revealed its supreme power in the battle a million years ago. No one was surprised. Since Lu Bai had come to save Ling Xiao alone, he must have brought the War God Hall's heaven battling seal with him. However, why did the flipping sky seal give off the same aura as the War God Hall's heaven battling seal? Boom. Lu Bai's other hand glowed with resplendent light. Another ancient silver seal appeared in his hand. It sprinkled down resplendent rays of light. It looked dazzling, as bright and flawless as the full moon. However, the ancient silver seal seemed like it could break through the sky and fly away at any time. What is that? Everyone was shocked. They did not expect another ancient seal to appear in Lu Bai's hand. It did not look any weaker than the War God Hall's heaven battling seal. Moreover, it gave off the same aura as the War God Hall's heaven battling seal. Once divided, now complete. Flipping sky connecting heavens, return to War God Hall. Heavenly Emperor seal, condense. Lu Bai murmured softly to himself. It sounded like he was reciting scriptures, but it also sounded like the chanting of ancient people. It gave off an ancient and ethereal aura. Rumble. As Lu Bai chanted softly, the sky trembled violently. Runes rose and the great Tao precepts revealed an extremely mysterious scene. The flipping sky seal, the golden ancient seal, and the silver ancient seal soared into the sky and floated in front of Lu Bai. They were like three suns in the sky, giving off endless light and heat. The three ancient seals slowly merged into one. An ancient and vast aura emerged from it. It was as if it could suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths and sweep across the heavens. It gave off an incomparably noble aura. Heavenly Emperor Seal. It's really the Heavenly Emperor Seal? An old sage exclaimed, his entire body trembling violently. Saint Tianji, what is the Heavenly Emperor Seal that you mentioned? Everyone asked curiously. That old saint was called the Saint Tianji. Legend had it that he had lived for countless years. He was an antique and knew countless ancient secrets. Now that even the Saint Tianji was so shocked, they guessed that the Heavenly Emperor Seal must be something extraordinary. The Heavenly Emperor Seal is naturally the supreme authority that the Heavenly Emperor used to control the myriad worlds. It is also the Heavenly Emperor's most powerful extreme Tao Emperor weapon. However, during the battle where the Heavenly Emperor fell, it was said that the Heavenly Emperor Seal was completely destroyed. However, some people said that the Heavenly Emperor Seal was once divided into 3 ancient seals. The War God Hall's War God Seal was one of them. I didn't expect this legend to be true. The Flipping Sky Seal, War God Seal, and Sky Connecting Seal. Now that the 3 seals have merged into one, is the Heavenly Emperor Seal going to reappear in the world? The Saint Tianji was trembling all over. His eyes were filled with excitement. What? That's the Heavenly Emperor Seal of the Heavenly Emperor? Everyone couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with horror. The 9 emperors of the human race had appeared in the sky. However, the Heavenly Emperor was undoubtedly ranked first. He was the leader of the 9 emperors. He had once led the human race to defeat the demon race. He was the supreme existence that started the human race's era. Chapter 2351. The Heavenly Emperor's Seal was the supreme treasure of the Heavenly Emperor. Everyone thought that the Heavenly Emperor's Seal had been completely destroyed. They did not expect it to appear in Lu Bai's hands. They could not believe it and felt as if they were in a dream. This legendary Supreme Emperor's weapon had too many legends. It was said that it was the supreme power of the Heavenly Emperor to suppress the heavens and myriad worlds and wipe out the demon race. It had supreme divine power. Now the flipping sky seal, the sky battling seal and the sky reaching seal had merged into one. The real Heavenly Emperor seal was about to appear. Everyone was extremely excited and looked forward to it. Heavenly Emperor's seal. You're courting death. The purple-robed ancestor's eyes flashed with killing intent. Instantly, he exuded a vast and unparalleled aura, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. Kacha. Blazing saber radiance rose up, and a purple war saber appeared in the purple-robed ancestor's palm. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. In an instant, thunder rumbled all over Zhoutian. A vast sea of thunder emerged, looking ancient and mysterious. It was branded with all kinds of mysterious scenes, and emitted a terrifying aura. The Heavenly Punishment Saber, the Supreme Emperor's weapon of the 9 imperial gates. The purple-robed ancestor knew how terrifying the Heavenly Emperor's seal was. Seeing that the 3 seals were about to merge into one and form a new Heavenly Emperor's seal, he did not hold back and directly took out the Heavenly Punishment Saber. The Heavenly Punishment Saber was a supreme killing treasure. Over the years, the 9 imperial gates had been refining it in endless thunder tribulations. It had become even more ferocious, and had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. The Heavenly Punishment Saber slashed at the 3 ancient seals. It wanted to shatter the 3 ancient seals and prevent the Heavenly Emperor's seal from appearing. Stupid. Lu Bai's expression did not change. It was as if he was not worried about the purple-robed ancestor taking out the Heavenly Punishment Saber. Instead, there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Rumble. The Heavenly Punishment Saber was wrapped in thunderbolts. It was like a punishment from the heavens that wanted to turn everything into dust. However, just when the Heavenly Punishment Blade was about to hit the 3 ancient seals, it suddenly stopped and began to tremble violently. The vast and unparalleled power of lightning within it actually surged towards the 3 ancient seals in a frenzy. The 3 ancient seals emitted dazzling rays of light in an instant, forming a mysterious ancient seal in the sky. It bloomed with dazzling 9-colored divine light, showing a chaotic color. It looked simple and mysterious, as if it was carved out of a mountain stone. Although it was not crafted, it had a suppressing and invincible aura. The Heavenly Emperor's seal had appeared. What? The purple-robed ancestor's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his face turned ashen. He did not expect that the Heavenly Punishment Saber would not only fail to destroy the 3 ancient seals, but instead become a catalyst for the 3 ancient seals. In an instant, the 3 seals merged into one and formed the complete Heavenly Emperor seal. Even the owner of the Heavenly Punishment Saber, the Thunder Emperor, was once a general under the Celestial Emperor. You want to use the Heavenly Punishment Saber to destroy the Celestial Emperor's seal? You are truly foolish, said Lu Bai with a faint smile. The purple-robed ancestor's face darkened. Boom. The Heavenly Emperor's seal spun and emitted dazzling rays of light, completely enveloping the sky. Endless chaotic light rose, as if it was going to split the heaven and earth, containing a vast and unparalleled power fluctuation. The Heavenly Emperor's seal enveloped Lu Bai, sprinkling dazzling rays of light, making Lu Bai look even more mysterious, as if the Celestial Emperor had come back to life. The terrifying aura of the Heavenly Emperor's seal made the surrounding human tribe experts tremble. Their faces were pale, but their eyes were filled with fanaticism. The Heavenly Emperor's seal represented the Celestial Emperor. When the crowd saw the Heavenly Emperor's seal, it was as if they had seen the Celestial Emperor. They could not help but kneel down and completely submit to the Celestial Emperor's seal. Lu Bai, don't be so arrogant. So what if you have the Heavenly Emperor's seal? The Celestial Emperor has passed away for countless years. Even if you have the Heavenly Emperor's seal, you can't stop so many of us, said the purple-robed ancestor, staring at Lu Bai. Is that so? As the first person to see the birth of the Heavenly Emperor's seal, you should be honored to see its true power, said Lu Bai indifferently. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the Heavenly Emperor's seal released a destructive energy fluctuation. The invincible aura seemed to be able to pierce through the galaxy. It was like a vast mountain, pressing down on the purple-robed ancestor. At this moment, Lu Bai felt that he had completely controlled the great Tao of heaven and earth around him. With the Heavenly Emperor's seal as a medium, he could freely mobilize the vast power of the entire divine world. The aura of the Heavenly Emperor's seal made the purple-robed ancestor's scalp tingle. His body could not help but tremble. This was the complete awakening of the extreme Tao Emperor's seal, the most legendary Heavenly Emperor's seal. A completely awakened extreme Tao Emperor's weapon was like a supreme celestial emperor descending. The monstrous power was not something that ordinary people could withstand. Even a sage king could not withstand it. The purple-robed ancestor gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with incomparable madness. The terrifying divine power around him surged into the heavenly punishment saber, and he even spat out a mouthful of blood essence. The heavenly punishment saber trembled slightly. Similarly, it shone brightly in an instant, emitting boundless dazzling lightning as it charged towards the Heavenly Emperor's seal. Kacha! The sky shattered in an instant. Chaotic turbulence surged, and the firmament in all directions trembled violently. The Heavenly Punishment Saber and the Heavenly Emperor's seal collided in the firmament, and an earth-shattering power erupted. It was like a great earthquake. However, the difference was that Lu Bai's aura was like a dragon. Every strike caused his aura to skyrocket. His fighting spirit surged as he charged towards the purple-robed ancestor. The purple-robed ancestor's body trembled with every strike. His face turned pale, and he felt his blood boil. The terrifying rebounding power from the Heavenly Punishment Saber was something that he could not withstand. Puff! In the end, the Heavenly Punishment Saber was directly knocked away by the Heavenly Emperor's seal. The purple-robed ancestor spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura instantly weakened. Whoever dares to touch Ling Xiao will die, Lu Bai shouted. His voice was like a thunderclap that shook the 9 heavens. The dozen or so Saint Kings could not help but tremble slightly. Rumble! Lu Bai strode towards the Saint Kings. The Heavenly Emperor's seal floated above his head, providing him with endless power, causing his aura to become more and more terrifying. Ah! Lord War God, let us fight side by side today. I would like to see if these old things can do anything to us. Chapter 2352. Young Martial Uncle, your talent is heaven-defying, but so is your ability to cause trouble. However, for the sake of Martial Granduncle, I can't let these old guys hurt you. Lu Bai smiled faintly as he stood beside Ling Xiao. His expression was calm, and there was no trace of fear on his face. The heroic aura that Ling Xiao and Lu Bai exuded seemed to have infected the people around them. Everyone's eyes were filled with amazement and excitement. People always sympathized with the weak. Although everyone thought that Ling Xiao and Lu Bai would definitely die today, seeing them fight with their backs to the wall and face over a dozen Saint Kings without batting an eyelid, they were inwardly impressed. You're courting death. So what if you have the Heavenly Emperor's seal? The supreme treasure left behind by the Heavenly Emperor shouldn't be in the hands of scum of the human race like you. Hand it over. The old ancestor of the Heavenly Curse sect sneered. The black scepter in his hand emitted a dazzling divine light that seemed to flicker. An ethereal and mysterious power filled the air. It contained an extremely strange curse power, and silently spread towards Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. The cursing scepter of the Heavenly Curse sect. Kill. The old ancestor of the space-time Heavenly sect looked indifferent. He held a treasure tree that emitted a 7-colored divine light in his hand. Mysterious runes appeared on the leaves on the tree, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. It was as though space-time ripples were spreading out. The Tree of 7 Wonders of the Space-Time Heavenly Sect. Rumble. The most terrifying scene was that of an elder from the Fane of Destiny. His hair and beard were all white. He wore a linen robe and stood barefoot. He looked like an immortal with an ethereal and mysterious temperament. However, at that moment, there was an ancient heavenly wheel in his hand. It slowly rotated, an endless chaotic light filled the air. It was as if an endless world had appeared, and the scene of all living things appeared. It was as if all living things were rotating along with that ancient heavenly wheel. This was the Supreme Emperor weapon of the Fane of Destiny, the Wheel of Destiny. As the Wheel of Destiny rotated, a vast and terrifying power of destiny erupted. It aimed at Ling Xiao and Lu Bai's fate, wanting to completely destroy their fate. The Cursed Scepter, the Tree of Seven Wonders, and the Wheel of Destiny. Under the full power of the three supreme emperor weapons, the Saint Kings all looked at Ling Xiao and Lu Bai coldly. Murderous intent filled their bodies as they attacked Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. Rumble. Boundless wind and thunder surged around them, and vast great Tao laws rose. Each of their attacks had the power to destroy the world, especially the three extreme Tao Emperor weapons. The vast extreme Tao Emperor weapons completely enveloped Ling Xiao and Lu Bai, wanting to turn them into dust. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai went all out and unleashed their full strength. The textless heavenly book provided Ling Xiao with an endless amount of energy, and the 12 Heaven Arts secret technique, under the support of the textless heavenly book, exploded with an extremely powerful divine might. Ling Xiao took out the time compass while Lu Bai took out the heavenly emperor's seal. Both of them exuded an unparalleled battle intent as they engaged in an intense battle with the Saint Kings. At this moment, both of them had the combat strength of a Saint King. They were able to fight with the top sect masters in the world, and the scene was extremely terrifying. The Lingxiao mountain range was about to be destroyed by the aftermath of the battle. A battle between Saint Kings could easily destroy the world. They knew that their destructive power was extremely powerful, so they left the Lingxiao mountain range and came to the extraterritorial starry sky as soon as the battle began. Crack! A terrifying fist print landed and blasted a resplendent star into smithereens. Bang! The blazing blade swept out in all directions, and the shattered remains of the star vanished into thin air. The starry sky shook, and the world shook. Every attack of the Saint Kings had the power to destroy the world. The great Tao laws intertwined around them, and their Tao power was as vast as the sea. Divine light surged, and a peerless battle began. However, the crowd noticed that Ling Xiao and Lu Bai were slowly falling into a disadvantageous position. They were like candles in the wind, and it seemed like they would be defeated at any time. Are Ling Xiao and Lu Bai going to lose? The crowd couldn't help but tremble. Although they had expected this result, they still found it hard to accept when the outcome was about to be decided. The main reason was that Ling Xiao, the chosen one, had created too many miracles. They also wanted to see if Ling Xiao could create more miracles. However, they were afraid that this battle would disappoint them. After all, Ling Xiao was too young. Even if he relied on the power of the wordless heavenly book and time compass, he probably wouldn't be able to deal with so many Saint Kings. As I said, Ling Xiao and Lu Bai are definitely going to die. That's right. From today onwards, the War God Temple will be wiped out. The experts of the 9 imperial gates and the Chinese sneered. Their two forces had suffered heavy losses. Although the Saint King Old Ancestor had arrived, the 5 heavenly saints had all died in battle, and 8 of the 9 heavenly kings had also died. Although they had a deep foundation, they still couldn't bear the heavy losses. Therefore they hated Ling Xiao to the core. Is the sect master not here yet? Shuewei clenched her fist, and her knuckles were a little white. Her face was a little pale as she glanced at the old woman behind her and asked, "Even the sect master can't do anything in this situation, right? Saintess, you don't have to do this for him. He's already dead." The old woman behind Shuewei sighed softly. "Shut up. Young master won't die." Shuewei rudely interrupted the old woman's words and said seriously. It was as if she was talking to the old woman, but also to herself. These old things are too shameless. So many people besieging Brother Ling Xiao. Do they really not care about their faces? Feng Qingyang looked at the scene of the battle in front of him, and his face was incomparably ugly. If they cared about their faces, today's matter wouldn't have happened. Ling Xiao won't die. Jin Se said lightly, although her expression was still as cold as an iceberg, without the slightest fluctuation of emotions. Her fingers were slightly trembling in a place that others couldn't detect. She wasn't as calm as she seemed. She was also worried. Junior sister Jin Se, don't worry. Even the white-clothed war god has joined the battle. The sect master must have arrived as well. At this moment, he should be hiding in the dark, ready to help at any time. Feng Qingyang glanced at Jin Se and comforted her. However, he also knew that his comfort was probably useless. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai were now facing more than a dozen Saint Kings. Divine light flashed across the starry sky, and extreme Dao Emperor weapons clashed. For such a battle, one or two more Saint Kings wouldn't affect the overall situation. Chapter 2353. Old man, are you not going to do anything? Brother Ling Xiao can't hold on for much longer. Yi Liangchun, who was in the void, started to get anxious. Let's wait a little longer. The slovenly old Taoist said nonchalantly. How much longer do we have to wait? If we wait any longer, I'm afraid Brother Ling Xiao is going to die. Those old fogies are despicable. Not only are they bullying us with numbers, they even brought out their extreme Dao Emperor weapons. Yi Liangchun said angrily. Let's wait for a chance to kill them all. The slovenly old Taoist said mysteriously. What? Capture them all in one go? Yi Liangchun was stunned. Initially, he only hoped that the old man could save Ling Xiao. He did not expect to kill those old fogies. After all, they were the old ancestors of the immortal sanctuary and supreme god tribe. Each of them had a high cultivation level, and they were protected by their extreme Dao Emperor weapons. It would be a miracle if they could save Ling Xiao. Buzz. At this moment, a vast and mysterious fluctuation came from the void. It caused the entire realm of the gods to shake. Although it was slight, it was clearly heard by Yi Liangchun and the slovenly old Taoist. Here's my chance. Brat, didn't you want me to save Ling Xiao? Today, I'll show you the power of the ancient Zhou star formation. The slovenly old Taoist's eyes lit up. Ancient Zhou star formation? Yi Liangchun was instantly energized. Although he did not know what was going on, he knew that the old man's most powerful attack was the Zhou star formation. The Zhou star formation was the supreme god formation of the demon tribe. It connected with the power of the stars in Zhou and borrowed the power of the billions of worlds to unleash a terrifying combat power. The Trayastrimsa formation of creation was only a sealing formation. The Zhou star formation was the true offensive formation. Rumble. The sloppy old Taoist exuded a vast aura, and the insight acupoints all over his body seemed to have lit up. They shone with a resplendent light, and the vast starry sky around them trembled slightly. The sky was filled with dazzling starlight. Among them, 365 of the brightest supreme stars lit up. Those supreme stars were incomparably distant, and they were also ancient worlds. At this moment, divine rainbows shot out and gathered on the sloppy old Taoist. The sloppy old man stood in the air. At this moment, all of his wretched aura disappeared. He became fierce, domineering, and dignified. Formation complete. The unkempt Taoist's ancient voice rang out. At that moment, 365 pillars of starlight fell from the sky, enveloping Ling Xiao, Lu Bai, and the saint rulers. Who is it? The expressions of the ancestors of the Destiny Hall, the purple-robed ancestor, and the spacetime ancestor all changed. They stared at the unkempt old Taoist solemnly. Although they had always been on guard against someone secretly attacking them, they had never thought that they would still fall for it. After the sloppy old Taoist cast down the Zhou star formation, he could no longer hide himself. He was directly exposed to everyone. Everyone, you're attacking Ling Xiao and Lu Bai with so many of you. You're really shameless. However, since you can break through my Trayastrimsa formation of creation, why don't you try my Zhou star formation? The sloppy old Taoist smiled. It's you. You deserve to die. Patriarch Purple Bamboo and Patriarch Purple Robe shuddered, and their eyes were filled with hatred. It was precisely because they had been trapped by the Trayastrimsa formation of creation that the 8 heavenly kings and the 5 heavens supreme saints had died to Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. They could not save them in time, so they hated the sloppy old Taoist the most. Now that the sloppy old Taoist had appeared, they were about to go berserk. Who are you? Ling Xiao is a spy of the demons. Everyone has the right to kill him. Since you're an almighty human, you should protect the interests of the human race. Why are you helping the evildoers? The ancestor of the Fane of Destiny looked at the sloppy old Taoist cautiously. For some reason, he realized that he could not see through the old Taoist's cultivation. The old Taoist's aura was unfathomable, which made him feel uneasy. Helping the evildoers? Hee, I hate hypocrites like you the most. If you covet the treasures on Ling Xiao's body, you can just snatch them away. You just have to stand on the moral high ground and put on a hypocritical look. How disgusting. The old Taoist laughed disdainfully. Rumble. As soon as the old Taoist finished speaking, the stars in the sky shook. Dazzling starlight fell as if the endless world had been destroyed. It formed a supreme killing intent that enveloped the dozen Saint Kings. The old Taoist looked indifferent. Dazzling light rose from his palm. An ancient black banner appeared in the sky, giving off an ancient aura. Roar. The roar of a primordial beast resounded. Suddenly, the phantoms of primordial beasts appeared on the 365 supreme stars. They gave off an insufferably arrogant aura. The 365 supreme stars seemed to have been bestowed with spirituality. They became extremely vast, like 365 ancient worlds that were rotating. Oh no! It's the demon summoning banner. Let's get out of the formation. The ancestor of the Fane of Destiny's face changed instantly. He roared and spun the Wheel of Destiny, wanting to charge out of the Zhou Tian stellar formation. Although he knew that the Zhou Tian stellar formation was a supreme imperial formation, he had the Wheel of Destiny, an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Hence, he did not take the Zhou Tian stellar formation seriously. Now that the demon summoning banner had appeared, the Zhou Tian stellar formation seemed to have received some sort of boost. Vast extreme Dao Emperor aura erupted, causing the ancestor of the Fane of Destiny's head to tingle. Let's go. After hearing the ancestor of the Fane of Destiny's words, all the saint rulers rose up without any hesitation. They all used their extreme Dao Emperor weapons or supreme treasures in an attempt to break out of the Zhou Tian stellar formation. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Ling Xiao sneered, as if he was not surprised by the appearance of the old Taoist. A terrifying aura surged around him. The time compass spun in the air, as if it had spun the space. Vast time force descended, charging toward the saint rulers. Those who offend the war god Hall die. Lu Bai's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and a strong fighting spirit burst out from his body. The heavenly emperor's seal soared into the sky, emitting a vast chaotic light. It was like an ancient mountain, and it came crashing down. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai did not show any signs of exhaustion. They both unleashed their greatest battle prowess, causing the expressions of the saint rulers to change drastically. Damn it! Chapter 2354. Rumble. Before the saint rulers could even resist, they felt several extremely powerful auras descend from the sky, causing the surrounding space to shake violently. An old man in gray robes, a dignified middle-aged man with a flat crown, and a beautiful middle-aged woman all radiated with vast auras as they attacked the saint rulers at the same time. Chaotic light rose around the old man in gray robes. Although he seemed extremely thin, his body contained terrifying power like a volcano. His fist was like a dragon that could destroy everything. The dignified middle-aged man radiated with a vast aura of reincarnation. He was like a king who walked through the cycle of life and death. The cycle of life and death turned into the 6 paths of reincarnation that crushed down on everyone. On the other hand, the middle-aged woman's face was cold. She radiated with extremely sharp sword intent, as she slashed out with her sword. Vast sword chi swept through the space for billions of kilometers, as if it had split the starry sky in half. It possessed a supreme, transcendent state. Hunyuanzi, Nether Hall Master, Annihilation Path Master, what are you doing? Someone roared. His eyes were filled with disbelief. They recognized the 3 people before them. Hunyuanzi was a saint ruler of the Chaotic Heaven sect. Nether Hall Master was the sect master of the Samsara Temple, and Annihilation Path Master was the sect master of the Taishang Dao Palace. The 3 of them were famous even in the god world and possessed extraordinary strength. The saint rulers had never thought that Hunyuanzi, Nether Hall Master, and Annihilation Path Master would actually help Ling Xiao. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 of them attacked as fast as lightning, catching the saint rulers off guard. Coupled with the attacks and suppression from the Zhoutian star formation, 3 of the Saint rulers were immediately heavily injured by Hun Yuanzi, Nether Hall Master and Nether Hall Master. You bastards, how dare you attack Ling Xiao? He's the chosen one of our human race. You're courting death. Hun Yuanzi said righteously. His eyes were filled with coldness. Surrender obediently. Otherwise, all of you will die here today. Nether Hall Master said nonchalantly. Bullying the weak, you deserve to die. The extermination Dao said coldly. The sword light in his eyes was extremely sharp, causing people to feel pain all over their bodies. It was as if the extermination Daolord's sword was about to cut their bodies open. Rumble. The 3 Supreme Masters charged into Zhoutian's Grand Astral Matrix. Their auras were like rainbows, and their attacks were like the collapse of the heavens and the earth. Every strike was capable of destroying the stars. Their strength was terrifying to the extreme. When Ling Xiao and Lu Bai saw the 3 supreme experts charging towards them, they gathered their spirits and charged towards the dozen Saint Ruler old ancestors at the same time. You want to reverse the situation with just the likes of you? The Saint Ruler of the Destiny Hall laughed out of anger. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Although they were extremely shocked by the appearance of Hun Yuanzi and the other 2, they were not afraid at all. More than a dozen Saint Ruler ancestors and a few Apex Monarch weapons were enough to sweep through everything. The murderous intent in their hearts was stimulated, and they instantly erupted with the supreme combat power of Saint Kings, engaging in a fierce battle with Ling Xiao and the others. Crack! However, what they did not realize was that the Grand Astral Matrix of Zhoutian seemed to have formed a domain of nothingness, isolating all the Great Path laws. It seemed to have formed a sealed space. Many Saint Ruler ancestors discovered that they could not communicate with the power of heaven and earth, and could not control the Great Path laws. Their strength began to weaken rapidly. On the other hand, Ling Xiao and Lu Bai became more and more courageous as the battle went on. Both of them were saints with their physical bodies, so they did not need to rely on the Great Path of heaven and earth. Their bodies had formed a small world of their own, and their terrifying strength seemed to be endless. In the endless galaxy, a group of Saint Ruler experts had started a shocking battle. The sect master has finally made his move. Brother Ling Xiao should be fine. Shuewei breathed a sigh of relief and smiled softly to herself. Silly child. Are you really going to marry the sect master's son? That's the happiness of your life. The old woman behind Shuewei said helplessly and with heartache. As long as the young master is fine, I'm relieved. If the young master is fine, I won't have any regrets even if I have to marry the sect master's son. Shuewei said with a smile. Her eyes were pure, beautiful, and filled with anticipation. It was heartbreaking. Ancestor Hun Yuanzi, Nether Hall Master, and Extermination Path Master are actually helping Ling Xiao? Looks like this battle is going to be interesting. Everyone was incomparably astonished by the appearance of these 3 supreme experts. The 3 of them represented the chaotic heavenly sect, Samsara Temple, and Taishang Dao Palace respectively. No one could ignore the declaration of the 3 immortal sacred grounds. Everyone thought that the battle would have no suspense, but after the appearance of the slovenly Taoist and the 3 supreme experts, it became full of suspense. In the chaotic void that no one noticed, Zhao Ritian was riding a 3-legged golden crow that was surrounded by endless flames. His eyes were filled with anticipation. In front of him, the entire God world seemed to be sealed by thousands of divine chains of order, completely isolating Ling Xiao and the others from the God world. Terrifying divine consciousnesses tried to break through the divine chains of order, but they were all blocked. Second uncle, I didn't expect the human race to have so many experts. Although there aren't any great emperors, there are still a few supreme emperors. If it wasn't for Senior Jiang Yiyang, I'm afraid they wouldn't be so obedient. Zhao Ritian sneered. That's right. After all, the human race is the master of this era. Over the countless years, there have been many old monsters who have ascended and broken through. However, they are just a bunch of cowards. Jiang Yuyang was your father's general. With him around, Ling Xiao shouldn't be in any danger. The second uncle sighed with emotion. If that's the case, can I make my move now? I've been annoyed with these old things for a long time, Zhao Ritian said eagerly. His entire body was exuding a vast and unparalleled sage aura. He had also become a sage. Be careful. Today, the immortal sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes will be at a disadvantage. Second uncle smiled and did not stop Zhao Ritian. After becoming a sage, Zhao Ritian wielded the heavenly Dao Emperor sword and the Yen Emperor cauldron. His strength was so terrifying that even second uncle was looking forward to it. Very good. Today, my hands will be stained with the blood of a sage king. Zhao Ritian grinned as a bright light shone from his palm. Gradually, an ancient longsword appeared, emitting a boundless light. Rumble. Chapter 2355. The heavenly Dao Emperor sword radiated with boundless sword intent, as it controlled the 3,000 great Daos, and slashed down from the heavens. Zhao Ritian had made his move. However, he did not choose to attack the sage ruler old ancestors. Instead, he attacked the sage ruler old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine. Rays of sword light rained down like a waterfall as he tried to kill the old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine. Rumble. The Yen Emperor cauldron floated above Zhao Ritian's head as if there were billions of brilliant suns floating within it. It provided Zhao Ritian with boundless energy, as if it could burn down the heavens and earth. Who are you? The old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine was shocked as his eyes were filled with seriousness. Ling Xiao, Lu Bai, the three supreme experts, and the sloppy old man were already troublesome to deal with. Who would have thought that Zhao Ritian would appear now? Most importantly, Zhao Ritian had two extreme Dao Emperor weapons. Whether it was the heavenly Dao Emperor sword or the Yen Emperor cauldron, they were enough to make the old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine fearful. I'm Di Hao, Zhao Ritian said calmly as the heavenly Dao Emperor sword slashed down. Rumble. The wheel of destiny spun continuously as the mysterious aura of destiny flowed, and destroyed the rays of sword light. However, the heavenly Dao Emperor sword was extremely sharp as it broke through the obstruction of the aura of destiny, and slashed the wheel of destiny with a thunderous sound. Di Hao, how dare you impersonate the son of the heavenly emperor? The eyes of the Fane of Destiny's old ancestor flashed as he pointed at Zhao Ritian and shouted angrily. Perhaps ordinary people did not know the real name of the heavenly emperor, but the sage ruler old ancestors of the immortal sacred ground knew the name of the heavenly emperor. The name Di Hao was extremely noble, and only the son of the heavenly emperor could use it. However, Zhao Ritian was clearly not the heavenly emperor that he knew. Impersonating the son of the heavenly emperor? Old man, are your eyes blind? Look at who I am. Zhao Ritian sneered. Rumble. Boundless chi and blood rose from his body as if they were made of gold. They shot straight into the 9 heavens, causing the surrounding starry sky to shake violently. A vast and mysterious figure appeared behind Zhao Ritian. His head was above the sky, and his feet were in the starry sky. He suppressed the myriad of worlds and was invincible. Many people couldn't help but tremble when they saw that figure. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. This is the Celestial Emperor's real body. The Heavenly Emperor was the head of the 9 emperors of the human race. Naturally, there were many statues of the Heavenly Emperor in the divine realm. Therefore, many people could instantly recognize that the figure behind Zhao Ritian was the Heavenly Emperor's real body. And to be able to condense the Celestial Emperor true body, one must possess the Celestial Emperor's bloodline. Then, Zhao Ritian's identity would be revealed. The son of the Celestial Emperor. Impossible. How could you be? The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall, Zizhu, and the purple-robed ancestor were all shocked. They could not help but cry out in disbelief. How could Zhao Ritian be the son of heaven? Then who was the Tianzi that was rumored to have died in Ling Zhao's hands? I am Di Hao, the son of the heavenly emperor. The previous Tianzi's name was Di Yuan. He pretended to be me and deceived people. I have already killed him in the chaotic ancient land. This old man is a remnant of the demon race. Now he wants to kill the heaven's chosen son of the human race. He is truly vicious and unforgivable. Everyone has the right to kill him. Zhao Ritian rose into the sky and pointed at the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall, as he spoke loudly to the crowd. What? This is the real Tianzi? Who would have thought that the previous Tianzi was a fake? No wonder I felt that he was arrogant and despotic. So he was a fake. The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall is a remnant of the demon race? How? How is this possible? Zhao Ritian's words instantly caused an uproar. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall's expression changed. His eyes were extremely ugly. He was so angered by Zhao Ritian that he almost vomited blood. Everyone, don't listen to his nonsense. He's not the real Tianzi. I think he's the remnant of the demon race. The saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall roared. However, his words were not very convincing. Zhao Ritian's Heavenly Emperor bloodline and Heavenly Emperor real body proved that he was the true descendant of the Heavenly Emperor. The Tianzi's words were indescribably convincing to the crowd. They were originally unhappy with the immortal sanctuaries and Supreme Emperor tribes surrounding Ling Xiao. At this moment, they were enlightened and their eyes were filled with vigilance. It turned out that the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was a remnant of the demon race. No wonder he wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. As if to prove Zhao Ritian's words, after the Heavenly Emperor sword appeared, the Heavenly Emperor seal seemed to have formed a strange connection with the Heavenly Emperor sword. In an instant, it shook violently. Like an ancient mountain, it pressed down on the wheel of destiny. Under the suppression of the two Supreme Emperor weapons, the wheel of destiny was unable to escape even though it was extremely mysterious. Die, old man. Zhao Ritian sneered as he charged towards the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. The flames in his palm burned fiercely and exuded a vast emperor's aura. It was the flame of Emperor Yan. It could burn anything. Even a Saint King realm expert would find it difficult to resist. Ling Xiao also saw the opportunity. His eyes flashed and terrifying divine power erupted from his body. He threw a punch at the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. At the same time, the time compass shone brightly and rotated slowly in the void. Vaguely, a vast and mysterious river appeared. Time and space began to distort. Freeze! Ling Xiao roared. The vast river of time pressed down. Under the control of the time compass, it wrapped around the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. The time-stop territory was activated again. You're courting death. The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall roared. Although he was suppressed by the power of time of the time compass and was frozen in the void for a moment, he regained his freedom in an instant. Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood. It was as if he had suffered a great backlash. His aura became extremely weak. After all, he was only a saint while the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was a Saint King. Even if he had the time compass, he still suffered a great backlash when the time-stop territory was broken. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes became brighter and brighter. The battle intent around him rose. A huge fist print seemed to be able to shatter the heavens and earth. The moment the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was frozen, the fist landed on his chest. Chapter 2356. Puff. The Fane of Destiny's patriarch's face turned pale as his chest caved in. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Even though he was a Saint King, Ling Xiao's physical body had reached the Saint Realm, and he had reached the Four Saint Realm. His strength was terrifying, but in terms of physical strength, even the Fortune Shrine's old ancestor couldn't compare to him. Ling Xiao's fist penetrated the Patriarch of Destiny's patriarch's body and broke his meridians. The fire of Emperor Yin took the opportunity to invade his body and roast his flesh. It even tried to spread to his primordial spirit. Get lost. The old ancestor of the Fane of Destiny trembled violently as he roared. His saint's aura exploded like a raging storm, trying to sweep Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian out of the way. Whoosh! At the same time, a dazzling pillar of starlight descended from the sky. It contained a boundless and unfathomable godly might. It pierced through the ancestor's heavenly court meridian and violently invaded his sea of consciousness. A terrifying murderous aura erupted. It was the power of the seven merciless stars. It contained the power of the Tao of slaughter. The Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit was invaded by the murderous aura, and instantly became dizzy. Devour. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He knew that the slovenly old man's Zhou star formation had taken effect. He took the opportunity to activate the wordless heavenly book and the sky-devouring secret skill. He turned his fist into a claw and grabbed the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit. He then started to devour the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit. The heart was the source of life. Although the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit was a saint king and had a vast amount of primordial spirit, half of it was gone in an instant under Ling Zhao's crazy devouring. Ling Zhao did not refine it at all. He directly integrated the primordial spirit into the wordless heavenly book. The wordless heavenly book was also excited as it started to devour the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit. Boom! Zhao Ritian seemed to have a telepathic connection with Ling Zhao. The flame of Emperor Yin burned fiercely in his palm as he slapped the ancestor's forehead. The vast flame of Emperor Yin began to invade the ancestor's sea of consciousness, attempting to burn his soul to ashes. No one had expected that the powerful and unfathomable Patriarch of the Fane of Fortune would be reduced to such a state in an instant. Although they had the help of the extreme Dao Monarch weapon, the sloppy old Taoist Zhou Tian stellar formation, and Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian who had seized the opportunity, everyone was still amazed by Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian's strength. All of you must die. All of you must die. The ancestor of the Fane of Destiny was furious. He roared in a hoarse voice. He was a saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall, an expert who stood at the very apex of the God world. His strength was unfathomable, and he controlled the lives and deaths of billions. He was furious that he had been humiliated like this today. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book was devouring his life force without restraint. He could not escape from it at all. He could even feel the threat of death. Boom! A terrifying aura rose around the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. His flesh and blood exploded. Strands of black demonic light rose up and swept across the area like a black storm. The storm was extremely terrifying. It contained the purest law of the Great Path. Even Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian could not resist it. They were sent flying. The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall shot up into the sky. Terrifying demonic light rose from his body. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes had turned scarlet. They were filled with cruelty and killing intent. Everyone was stunned. Demon remnant. He really is a demon remnant, someone exclaimed, his voice trembling violently. No one had expected the saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall to have been attacked by the demon remnant and become a demon remnant. The emperor did not lie to them. Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian looked at each other and smiled faintly. They had achieved their goal. They did not expect to kill the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. After all, he was a saint ruler. He had many tricks up his sleeves. It was easy to defeat him, but impossible to kill him. However, as long as he exposed his identity as a demon remnant, it would be enough. This old man is a demon remnant. I suspect that these old men are also demon remnant. Why would the Almighty of the human race harm the chosen one of the human race? I think they must have sided with the demon remnant. They want to kill the peerless genius of the human race and destroy the foundation of the human race. Zhao Ritian chuckled coldly. His voice was clearly heard by everyone. Jiang Yuyang was the one who told him that the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was a demon remnant. As for whether the others were demon remnant, it was hard to say. However, Zhao Ritian did not care. He pushed all of them to side with the demon remnant. You're spouting nonsense. How can we be demon remnant? Don't slander us. I think you're the one who's a demon remnant. What nonsense are you talking about? The saint ruler's faces changed, especially when they saw the hatred and disgust in the eyes of the people around them. They had a bad feeling about this. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, the Wheel of Destiny, the Capital Heaven Divine Fiend Flag, the Tree of Seven Wonders, and the other extreme Dao Emperor weapons buzzed. A cold voice was heard from them, and they flew away. All-Seer is a demon remnant. Everyone has the right to kill him. Purple Bamboo is expelled from the Chinese race. Purple Robe is expelled from the 9 imperial gates. As the voices were heard, the saint rulers of the Destiny Divine Hall, Purple Bamboo, and Purple Robe were shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. These immortal sanctuaries and Supreme Emperor tribes had chosen to take back their Extreme Tao Emperor weapons and abandon them. Perhaps not all of the saint rulers were demon remnant. However, those who were hiding in the dark knew that their plan had failed. They had chosen to abandon the pawn to protect the cart. Without the Extreme Tao Emperor weapons, even the sage ruler old ancestors had no chance of surviving against the Cosmic Cycle Stellar Array, the Chrono Compass, the Yen Emperor's Cauldron, the Heavenly Emperor's Seal, and the Heavenly Emperor's Sword. Kill! Ling Xiao shouted. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He took the lead and charged towards the saint rulers. Zhao Ritian, Lu Bai, Hun Yuanzi, Nether Hall's Master, and Extermination Path Master all charged forward at the same time. They took out their powerful Extreme Tao Emperor weapons and began a crushing battle under the suppression of the Zhou Tian stellar formation. Ah! Ling Xiao, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I'm not a demon remnant. Sect Master, save me. Although the saint rulers were usually high and mighty, they were filled with fear and unwillingness when faced with the threat of death. After all, the longer one lived, the more afraid they were of death. They did not expect the situation to turn around so quickly. Chapter 2357. More than a dozen Saint Kings had died in Zhou Tian's Great Star Formation. This was a huge matter that could shake the entire God world. After all, every Saint King old ancestor was a supreme expert that could control the fortune of an immortal holy land. Even if an immortal holy land wanted to cultivate a Saint King old ancestor, it was not so easy. But today, because they wanted to kill Ling Xiao, they were all buried in the vast starry sky. What was even more shocking was that other than the Fane of Destiny's ancestor All-Seer, the Purple Bamboo ancestor and the Purple Robe ancestor were also demon remnants. Who would have thought that All-Seer, Purple Bamboo ancestor, and the Purple Robe ancestor were all spies of the demon clan? This is too shocking. That's right. Those are supreme experts of the Saint King realm. If such people are demon remnants, it can be seen that the demon clan has infiltrated the human clan deeply. It's chilling just thinking about it. This is also a blessing in disguise. No wonder the immortal saint lands chose to sacrifice these saint kings. Even the immortal saint lands and the supreme god clan would not be able to stand it, and would be attacked together. Looks like Ling Xiao's calamity is over. Everyone discussed animatedly, not concealing the shock in their eyes. This time, the many immortal holy lands had gone through many twists and turns to hunt Ling Xiao down. Ever since Huang Tai, the 5 heavens great sage, the 8 heavenly kings, and the others had died one after another at the hands of Ling Xiao and Lu Bai, everyone realized just how monstrous this heaven's chosen one was. Naturally, many people were extremely excited, thinking that the more extraordinary Ling Xiao's talent was, the more fortunate it was for the human clan. However, there were also many people who were jealous of Ling Xiao, and were even afraid of Ling Xiao's rise. They could not wait for someone to tear Ling Xiao into pieces, but in the end, they were greatly disappointed. Rumble. The stars in the sky shook, and the vast Great Tao Law trembled. Even the bright light of the Great Tao shone down, illuminating the lonely starry sky. The Saint King realm was already standing at the peak of the Saint realm. They could comprehend the will of the heavens and control the Great Tao. Their power was unparalleled, and their body was condensed with vast Tao intent. And their death was equivalent to the Tao intent returning to the heavens and earth, causing the great Tao of the heavens and earth to react strongly, forming all kinds of mysterious phenomena. Not to mention that a dozen Saint Kings had died at the same time. This was definitely the first time in a million years that so many Saint Kings had died in battle. Millions of miles away from where the Saint Kings died, an old Saint King realm. He was enveloped in a boundless demonic light, emitting a dense dark aura of darkness. At this moment, his eyes were filled with reverence. Standing in front of him was a little girl dressed in red. She looked like she was carved out of jade, and was as cute as a porcelain doll. Her entire body was emitting a bright light, like a glass crystal. However, the red-clothed little girl's expression was calm. She had an air of superiority about her, and her eyes were filled with indifference as if she viewed all living beings as ants. What a piece of trash! Saint Kings to heaven to kill Ling heavens Saint heavens God heaven heaven he. The red-clothed little girl spoke in a clear and pleasant voice, but it was filled with endless coldness in the black-robed old man's ears, causing him to involuntarily shiver. Heavens heavenly heavens to heaven. They didn't expect Heavenly Master Sloppy and Heavenly Master Jade Sun to take action. Ling Heavenly Master's luck is too strong. Heavenly Master Jade Sun said bitterly. Sloppy Taoist and Jiang Yiyang? They ruined my Saint Clan's plans. I'll kill those two old things sooner or later. But the most important thing now is to kill Ling Heavenly Book. We must take it back. Do you know what to do? Heavenly Master Jade Sun said hatefully. Don't worry, Heavenly Master. I've already made the arrangements. Ling Heavenly Master won't be able to escape this time. He belongs to Heavenly Master Jade Sun, and so does the Heavenly Book. Heavenly Master Jade Sun said seriously. Good. I hope you won't disappoint me. Heavenly Master Jade Sun said indifferently. Then she slowly disappeared into the void. Ling Heavenly Master. Heavenly Master Jade Sun's eyes revealed a trace of darkness. In an instant, he took a step forward and traveled millions of miles in the blink of an eye, moving in the direction of the God Realm. Rumble. Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun sat cross-legged in the starry sky. His entire body was emitting multicolored light. His aura was gradually increasing. Vast and majestic life energy was being emitted, causing an ancient world of life to appear around him. After killing more than 10 Saint Kings, Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun did not hesitate to use the Heavenly Book and used the Heavenly Devouring secret skill to devour the life energy and flesh energy of the Saint Kings. Although most of the energy had been refined by the Heavenly Book, the portion that was devoured by Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun still contained an incomparably vast amount of energy. Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun was about to explode. Therefore, Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun did not have time to say anything. He immediately sat cross-legged in the starry sky and began to refine the energy. Lu Bai, Zhao Ritian, and the rest heaved a sigh of relief when all the Saint Kings were killed. Their eyes were filled with the joy of surviving a calamity. Zhao Ritian could also sense that the sloppy Taoist and Senior Jiang Yiyang had already left. It was already extremely difficult for the two of them to help Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Those bastards are really lucky. Especially the Destiny Shrine, the Chinese, and the 9 Imperial Gates. They actually drew a clear line with them at the last moment. Zhao Ritian said hatefully. Old Ancestor All-Seer, Old Ancestor Purple Bamboo, and Old Ancestor Purple Robe were all remnants of the demon race. Naturally, the 3 Holy Lands and Emperor clans would not be able to get away with it. However, they were very cunning. They directly took away the Extreme Tao Emperor weapon and drew a clear line with Old Ancestor All-Seer and the other 2. At this moment, Zhao Ritian felt as though he had suffered a loss. Otherwise, with Zhao Ritian's identity as the Emperor, he could summon the entire human race in the divine world. At that time, even the Destiny Shrine, the Chinese, and the 9 Imperial Gates would not be able to get away with it. Of course, their debts will be settled one by one. Your Highness, I'll have to trouble you to protect Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Some of the rascals have already approached this place. I'm afraid they are also coveting the Heavenly Book on Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Lu Bai's eyes flashed as he said slowly to Zhao Ritian. Are they experts from the other great worlds? They really don't know what's good for them. White-clothed war god. It's better that you protect Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Let me go and kill those bastards. Zhao Ritian said with some eagerness. His senses were extremely sharp. Naturally, he could sense that there were many powerful auras in this vast starry sky. However, he did not immediately take action. It was obvious that he was wary of them. Leave Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun to me. Suddenly, a calm voice rang out. Lu Bai and Zhao Ritian could not help but be stunned. Chapter 2358. Lu Bai and Zhao Ritian were surprised as they did not expect Jin Se to come. Naturally, they knew about the unusual relationship between Ling Xiao and Jin Se. However, they also knew that Jin Se had lost her memory of Ling Xiao as she cultivated the Tao of Great Oblivion. Hee, if that's the case, I'll leave Ling Xiao to you. Take good care of him and I'll kill those bastards who don't know what's good for them. Zhao Ritian chuckled at Jin Se. He was happy to see this and hoped that Ling Xiao and Jin Se could be together as soon as possible. Although Lu Bai was a little hesitant, he nodded and said, "If that's the case, I'll have to trouble Saintess Jin Se." Swoosh. Swoosh. Zhao Ritian and Lu Bai leaped into the sky and teleported into the distant starry sky. Rumble. The sky shook as stars exploded one after another. Dozens of figures with powerful auras rushed out from the explosion. After being discovered by Lu Bai and Zhao Ritian, they no longer hid themselves and attacked the two of them one after another. "You're courting death." Hun Yuanzi, the Nether Hall Master, and the Extermination Path Master's eyes turned cold. These experts from other worlds coveted the wordless heavenly book on Ling Xiao, and did not hesitate to kill their way into the divine world. To them, this was an unbearable provocation. The three supreme experts also leaped into the sky and charged towards those people. Comparatively speaking, Ling Xiao, who was heavily protected by Jin Se, and the experts from the human race, was the safest. After all, no one dared to attack Ling Xiao after the previous battle. Sister Jin Se. Shui Wei also came to Ling Xiao's side quietly. When she saw Jin Se, her face was filled with shyness as she bowed to Jin Se. "You're welcome. Since you're here, I'm sure you want to protect Ling Xiao. Be careful of the surroundings and don't let anyone get close." Jin Se said to Shui Wei. "Yes." Shui Wei nodded seriously. In fact, even if Jin Se did not say anything, she would not let anyone get close to Ling Xiao. Rumble. Shui Wei radiated with the presence of samsara, enveloping Ling Xiao. Layers of spacetime intertwined, causing Ling Xiao's figure to twist. It was impossible to find his true body. Jin Se's eyes flashed with surprise. She had never expected Jin Se's avatar of reincarnation to be so powerful. She had already comprehended the grand Tao of reincarnation to such a level. Jin Se and Shui Wei stood on either side of Ling Xiao, protecting him in the middle. They guarded their surroundings, not allowing anyone to get close to him. As for Lu Bai, Zhao Ritian, the three utmost powerful beings, and the others, they charged out in all directions and clashed with those who were spying on soaring sky. However, as if the battle was too shocking, the surrounding experts who were eyeing Ling Xiao did not fight to the death. Instead, they retreated and fought at the same time. Unknowingly, Zhao Ritian, Lu Bai and the others were lured away. All of a sudden, Jin Se's eyes flashed with a strange look. Her expression became extremely cold as a vast demonic aura emanated from her body. In an instant, lightning intertwined and the void shook. A vast vortex appeared behind Jin Se. It was like a passageway between two worlds, trying to swallow Ling Xiao. What? Although Zhao Ritian and Lu Bai were fighting with the experts from the outside world, they still left a trace of their consciousness on Ling Xiao. At this moment, they could not help but tremble as their eyes were filled with disbelief. Logically speaking, Jin Se was the person who was least likely to hurt Ling Xiao. However, it was Jin Se who had attacked Ling Xiao. "Jin Se, what are you doing?" Zhao Ritian shouted. The heavenly Tao Emperor sword was like a stream of light. In an instant, it traversed through the void, trying to destroy the passageway behind Jin Se. He could feel the vast demonic aura in the passageway. It was the passageway to the devil world. He did not know what method Jin Se had used to open it silently. Once Ling Xiao was swallowed, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Sister Jin Se, let go of young master." Shui Wei was the first to react. Boundless light of reincarnation rose around her. Instantly, she wanted to sweep Ling Xiao up and leave this place. Boom. However, a black figure appeared behind Shui Wei, and gently struck out with his palm. Kacha. The void shook and the reincarnation enchantment on Shui Wei's body shattered. She flew out abruptly and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was an old man in a black robe. He looked hale and hearty and his eyes were deep. He struck out with his palm, and a red lotus seemed to float out from his palm. It blocked the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. Clang. The sound of metal clashing could be heard and sparks flew. The heavenly Tao Emperor sword was extremely sharp, but it was unable to break through the red lotus, and was blocked. You are Taiyuan. When Tao Lord Extermination saw the old man in a black robe, he could not help but tremble. His voice was filled with killing intent, and his eyes were extremely sharp. Junior Sister Extermination, I haven't seen you for 1,000,000 years, and you have already advanced to the King Sage realm. Congratulations. However, I want to take Ling Xiao away today and none of you can stop me. The old man in a black robe smiled faintly, and his expression was extremely calm. Rumble. He exuded a vast aura and his attacks were extremely sharp. It was as though he could destroy everything. He blocked all the attacks around him, and no one could get close to him. Taiyuan, you traitor. Tao Lord Extermination's body was trembling, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Everyone shuddered at the mention of Taiyuan's name. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. It was actually him. Taiyuan was a disciple of the Taishang Dao Palace. 1,000,000 years ago, he and Tao Lord Extermination were known as the Taishang Duo. Taiyuan was also the person who was most likely to become the next Taishang Dao Master. However, 1,000,000 years ago, Taiyuan went berserk while cultivating the Taishang Unruffled Dao. He did not hesitate to betray the Taishang Dao Palace, and became a demon remnant. He killed many experts of the Taishang Dao Palace. It was said that the previous Taishang Dao Palace's praying master, Taiyuan and Tao Lord Extermination's master, died at Taiyuan's hands. No one had expected Taiyuan to show up here. Junior Sister Tao Lord Extermination. All of you have gone astray. You don't understand the true meaning of the Taishang Unruffled Dao Master. In the future, only Jinsei and I have hope of reviving the Taishang Dao Palace. Don't waste your energy. The passage opened by the Taishang Dao Master is not something you can break. Taiyuan shook his head. His expression was calm, and even had a compassionate aura. He did not care that Tao Lord Extermination's eyes were about to spit fire. Rumble. Jinsei's eyes had turned pure black and exuded a strange fluctuation. She opened the passage to the demonic realm, and an unparalleled and vast emperor's aura descended. Vaguely, everyone saw a little girl in red. She rolled up her sleeves and swept Ling Xiao, Jinsei, and Taiyuan into the passage to the demonic realm, and disappeared completely. How could it be her? Lu Bai trembled and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Chapter 2359. Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Lu Bai instantly recognized the little girl in red. It wasn't just Lu Bai. Even the Extermination Daylord's eyes were filled with shock. The Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires was the sect master of the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect. The 7 Emotions and 6 Desires demonic sect was the exact opposite of the Taishang Dao Palace. The Taishang Dao Palace pursued the Taishang Dao Palace's pursuit of the Taishang Dao Palace's Taishang Dao Palace's pursuit of the Taishang Dao. It reflected the heart of the heavens, and was neither pleased by material gains nor saddened by personal losses. This was the only way to better harmonize with the great Tao, and comprehend the heavenly Tao. On the other hand, the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires demonic sect believed that one should follow one's heart, and use the boundless secular world to refine one's heart, and experience the Tao of the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. From there, one could comprehend the heavenly Tao. Therefore, they acted without any scruples and did as they pleased. It was just that the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect had been too presumptuous in their actions, which led to the encirclement of many sacred grounds and sects in the realm of the gods. Of course, the Taishang Dao Palace was one of the main forces among them. In the end, the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect was uprooted. In the entire 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect, only the daughter of the sect leader managed to escape with her life. Later, the clan of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires of the celestial realm disappeared, and the demon realm gained a heavenly lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. He loved to seduce the disciples of the Taishang Palace, and make them step into the path of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires, destroying their path hearts, and finally killing them. Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires, had also become the leader of the remnants of the Devil clan in the human clan. He had gathered countless experts under his command, and could even be called an overlord in the Devil realm. Liu Bai and Extermination Dao Lord hadn't expected Taiyuan to collude with Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires. Damn it! It must be that old thing Taiyuan who helped Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires control Jin's. That's why he kidnapped Ling Xiao. If anything happens to Jin's, I won't let him off. The Extermination Daylord's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. She was extremely worried. Jin Sei had the Taishang body of the Great Path, and was extremely talented. She had long seen her as the hope of the Taishang Palace. But she did not expect Jin Sei to be controlled by Lord 7 emotions and 6 desires. Miju Dao Master's heart was filled with worry and anger when he thought about the whereabouts of the disciples of the Taishang Dao Palace. Heavenly Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires hasn't made a move for hundreds of thousands of years. This time, I'm afraid that the immortal world will be thrown into chaos. No matter what, Ling Xiao must not fall into the hands of the Devil world. Liu Bai's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Rumble. The celestial emperor seal in his palm broke through the void, exuding a peerless sharpness. Liu Bai took a step forward and instantly entered the void passage, disappearing under the starry sky. He actually wanted to kill his way into the divine world alone to rescue Ling Xiao. What are you guys still standing there for? Why aren't you saving him? If the wordless heavenly book falls into the hands of the Devil race, do you think the God realm can still stop the Devil Emperor? Zhao Ritian sneered. He glanced at Hun Yuanzi, the Nether Hall Master, and the Extermination Path Master before he followed closely behind Liu Bai. He broke through the void with the Heavenly Way Emperor sword and chased after them. The expressions of Hun Yuanzi, the Nether Hall Master, and the Dao Lord of Extermination could not help but change. They had obviously helped Ling Xiao because they had ulterior motives. They did not truly want to help Ling Xiao, or they would not have waited until the very end. Zhao Ritian's words also reminded them that no matter what, the wordless heavenly book must not fall into the hands of the demon race. Otherwise, the divine realm would really be in danger. Quickly send this news back to the deity realm, and inform the Lord Monarchs. Let's go. No matter what, we must delay Lord 7 emotions and 6 desires. Hun Yuanzi quickly said to the crowd. He then looked at the Nether Hall Master and the Extermination Path Master before they broke through the void and chased after Ling Xiao. Although there were no great emperors in the human race, there were still a few great emperors who suppressed the divine world. They were usually elusive and focused on comprehending the heavenly way in order to enter the supreme great emperor realm. But now they had no choice but to alert them. Ling Xiao did not expect that Jin Sei would attack him. Although he was cultivating and devouring the flesh and primordial spirits of many sage kings, he was also paying attention to his surroundings and was extremely vigilant. However, he naturally did not take any precautions against Jin Sei and Shui Wei. Rather than saying that Ling Xiao was careless, it was more accurate to say that he trusted Jin Sei and Shui Wei too much. After all, if he did not trust Jin Sei and Shui Wei, who else could he trust? There was no trace of Jin Sei's attack. First, she used the red dust boundary left behind by Lord 7 emotions and 6 desires to imprison him. Then she opened the passage to the demonic world. The red dust boundary was a supreme superpower that Lord 7 emotions and 6 desires had comprehended when he cultivated his heart in the boundless secular world. It was invisible and intangible and directly affected the primordial spirit and heart force. Even if Ling Xiao had the wordless heavenly book and time compass, he could not break it in a short time. However, Ling Xiao did not panic at all. Although he had already entered the passage to the demonic world, he still activated the wordless heavenly book to devour the power of the red dust boundary. Miss Jin Sei, you have done a great service this time. The Supreme One will definitely reward you handsomely. Taiyuan said to Jin Sei with a smile in the passage. Jin Sei does not need a reward for serving the Supreme One. Jin Sei said indifferently. Her body exuded a strange demonic aura that exuded all kinds of emotions and desires. It made one uneasy. Even Taiyuan did not dare to get too close to Jin Sei. At this moment, Jinsei felt extremely unfamiliar to Ling Xiao. Although Jinsei had lost her memories, she exuded an ethereal aura. That was the aura of someone who had cultivated the most supreme Tao scripture and comprehended the path of the great oblivion. But now Jinsei exuded all kinds of emotions and desires. It was as if all the joy, anger, sorrow, and joy of the world could be found on her body. This Jinsei no longer exuded an ethereal aura. Instead, she seemed like a mortal woman. That's not right. This is the aura of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Why does Jinsei have the aura of the 7 emotions and 6 desires? Even if the path of the great oblivion was cultivated to the extreme and reached the path of the most supreme emotions, it would not be like this. Could she really be controlled by that supreme one? Ling Xiao's heart sank slightly. He was very worried about Jinsei's current state. Although Jinsei was the cause of his current situation, he did not blame her at all. This was not Jinsei's original intention. She was being used and controlled by someone else. The red dust boundary was incomparably powerful. Even the wordless heavenly book could not break it quickly. However, Ling Xiao used the sky-devouring secret technique to devour the red dust boundary's power and quickly dissolved it. Rumble. Ling Xiao exuded a terrifying aura that caused the sky to tremble violently. The wordless heavenly book floated above his head, sprinkling a brilliant and mysterious light. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.